maybe you would say that I'm not what you need. And it may be true, 'cause we don't get a chance. It's like I don't know what's left. Baby, I would never say the way you just hold the cream. Girl, you hold so firm, never wanna let it go. It's like we're just stuck again. It's like we're just stuck again.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel. I hope you're all having a great American Thanksgiving over there in the US. I hope you guys have all had wonderful turkey dinners, and now I'm hungry because I'm thinking of turkey and potatoes and ham and pie, apple pie. I want apple pie now. God damn it. What's wrong with me? Anyway, hello everyone. I hope you're all doing awesome today. I am back. I am here. I had I still have two children home. Um, they've been sick. I'm hoping that the oldest one doesn't have what I had, because that cough of his is not sounding good. But we will see. And I'm still dealing with my the stupid rash on my legs has come back. I don't know what the hell's going on. I might have to go back and say what the F is happening to me. Hello, cannibalistic wizard. Hello, Keyshawn Edwards. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a great day. And I'm just so I'm in this dress because I'm trying to keep my legs aired out as much as possible. But yeah, it's not fun. It does not feel very nice. But I am here and happy to be here because it is a great Thursday. We've got a few things to go over. Of course, we've got question period, but we're not going to start with that. We've got a few things to watch. And I think Blue Sky, I think we're going to start with the Blue Sky the Blue Sky video. But before we get into that video, I find it really amusing that people are jumping ship so much this happened with Mastodon too. Everybody was like, I'm not gonna use Twitter anymore. I'm going to Mastodon. I bet you they'll be back as soon as oh, that sucks. Your intestines are about as happy as a Canadian who, when the bar runs out of maple flavored booze. Ew. Maple flavored liquor. That sounds awful. I mean, like, I know it probably exists, but that just sounds horrifying. I would not drink that. I would definitely stay away from the maple flavored liquor. That is not a thing I would drink. And yeah, no, thank you. No maple flavored booze for me, please and thank you. Um, that is, ugh. It's the same with licorice flavored alcohol. I do not like licorice flavored alcohol, like ouzo or drambuie or absinthe or Jägermeister. Jägermeister tastes like fucking cough medicine. I cannot stand Jägermeister. It's awful. It's awful, it's awful, it's awful. I do like, though, your amarettos, your liqueurs like Carolinas or Bailey's or something like that. I do enjoy that. But no licorice flavored alcohol for me. Thank you very much. It is absolutely awful. That sounds worse than that banana flavored whiskey I bought last year. Yeah, that was pretty awful. That was pretty, that banana flavored stuff, that was pretty bad. I don't ugh. That was pretty terrible. I can't even remember what it was called now, but I do remember it. And it's funny because it was deceptively tasty, but then the aftertaste was like, ugh. It was just gross. I can't. I just can't. I do like whiskey. But yeah, that banana flavored stuff, that was pretty gross. But yeah, so let's see here. Where are we? I think we're gonna start by laughing at Blue Sky, and then we're gonna laugh at a couple of food videos, and then we'll get into our politics. We'll save the politics for later on in the stream, I believe. So, Clownfish TV has the scoop on what's going on with Blue Sky. They're breaking the law, which are we surprised? Because I'm not surprised at all. And let's take a quick listen here to this video.
Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And Blue Sky is breaking all the rules. We're gonna talk about that. Blue Sky
Monkey
breaking
head.
some rules, I guess, in the EU, and it's so
Howlerhead.
damn popular. According
That's
to
it.
the COO, they need to go get more servers.
Well, that could be because they went from not very many people to like a big boom in it recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, even my aunt was like, "Are you on Blue Sky?" I'm like, "No, I am not."
We've had that happen before where we kept doing really well. All of a sudden, we had to just go. We had to up our server usage.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that. We'll see. I mean, we'll see if it lasts. I honestly do not know if Blue Sky is going to last or not. It might. It very well could, but like, it's basically all the people that miss old Twitter went over to Blue Sky because
I don't know if Blue Sky will work because everybody said the same thing about Mastodon, right? You know, oh, I miss old Twitter and I don't like the way Twitter's being, so I'm gonna switch to Mastodon.
but of course they wait until after the election. You notice that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Blue Sky's been around for a couple of years now, and they wait until
really?
after the election to go over. When they could, if they had a problem with Musk, they could have gone over before. But I think a lot of them were actually staying on X because they're like, well, we're gonna stick it to the chuds when Trump loses because the media tells us Trump's gonna lose.
I just think it's funny if you go back to the other article real quick. If you remember, guys, Blue Sky's the biggest thing ever. It's like it's going to be so big. It's huge. It's like one of the biggest ever. And it says here, Blue Sky isn't big enough to be considered a very large online platform, according to the European Union and the article Verge writes.
Yeah, so we'll talk about that because you have to be this high to get on the ride.
And they're not, even though they keep trying to argue they are.
So they are still very small. It's they I think what was it, 20 million people they have on their
Gotta be this high to ride Europe. So we'll talk about that because when you get to a certain size, you do have to have more policies in place, and the EU stuff is ridiculous. We've had to do it with some of our websites. Not that we're even remotely close to this, but just because they have all kinds of different rules and stuff over there for.
Well, of course they do. Because it's the EU and everything has to be so nice and cordial and polite, and it has to be politically correct.
Collecting your personal data. So we'll talk about
That's
that.
awful.
We'll talk about people again fleeing X and maybe do a little bit of an update. Apparently, I did a video yesterday talking about Mark Hamill. He made a big deal about how he was going to leave social media for a while, and like a day later, 2 days later, he's on Blue Sky again.
Are we shocked? Are we really shocked though that Mark Hamill was like, I'm not posting on social media. Ah! Oh, hello, Blue Sky.
He can't stand it.
He can't stop.
No.
He just cannot.
And Blue
help
Sky is
himself.
like, I've talked about it before in other videos. I've been over
Sky.
there. It is ridiculous, the amount of bat shittery that is going over there.
That should be a parody. We should put a little bat and call it bat shittery.
There you go.
Bat shittery.
Our own social media.
So there we go. So let's we'll talk about all this before we get into it any further. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo.
Go out to Clownfish Minus. We actually have some signed items, a very limited supply. I've got this pulled up. I'm not even sure if we have any of the stuff in stock because I promoted it earlier, but we do have some enamel pins that the Clownfish crew
cool.
have signed, and some Bubbly Steves. These are the last of the version 1s of the Bubbly Steves. Geeky found some in storage. This is it, man.
Neat.
Like he's
It might
gone.
already be gone at this point.
might
Anyway,
be.
let's just go to the point. No
Yeah.
one cares. Go to the point.
Nobody cares about your damn plushies. All right. Blue Sky is breaking the rules in the EU, says The Verge, even if it's not a very large platform yet.
So I wonder what it's doing. Like this is going to be a kind of an educational thing for me because I'm not sure what the rules are in the EU, and I like how usually they break things down with Clownfish
So
TV.
the European Union says Twitter alternative Blueski violates Blueski
I love it.
violates the
That's how
EU
voiceover says it, by the way. Blueski.
Blueski violates Blueski
I love it.
violates the EU Digital Services Act rules around information disclosure, reports Reuters. But since Blue Sky isn't big enough yet to be considered a very large online platform under the DSA, the regulator says it can't regulate Blue Sky the way it does X or Threads.
Interesting. So it has to be a specific size to be able to be regulated? That doesn't seem to like I said, I don't understand how this stuff works. So I'm just kind of along for the ride
I
here.
think Threads is even bigger.
Threads is bigger. Well,
Okay.
Threads is part of Instagram.
I know, but I'm
so-
just saying. I think it's funny because they're all like making these articles. Oh my gosh, Blue Skies is the biggest thing ever, guys. It's like getting so big, it's so huge. X needs to watch out because here comes Blue Sky, even though it's like an elephant in a pissant. But according to the European Union,
It's tiny.
It's too tiny to mess with.
It's
at
too
this
tiny to
point.
play with. We can't.
Yeah, it's not big enough to even care about, basically, is what they're saying. Which is kind of sad because everyone keeps saying, like Geeky just said, oh, Blue Sky is so big. It's up and coming. Watch out, X. Meanwhile, Threads does better.
Can't play with
than
your
Blue
Blueski.
Sky.
You can't play with it when you can't find it.
Oh no! The Financial Times quoted European Commission spokesperson Thomas Rainier, who told reporters about the violation during a Monday press briefing. All platforms in the EU have a dedicated page on their website where it says how many users they have in the EU and where they are legally established.
Okay.
This is not the case for Blue Sky as of today. This is not followed. So they're supposedly breaking the law, but they said they don't have enough users to really enforce it.
But how do they know they don't have enough users if they're not reporting their users in the EU and where they're established? That's kind of a catch-22 if I'm understanding this correctly.
He reportedly went on to say
it's the biggest thing ever.
It's the biggest thing ever. He went on to say that the Commission has asked the EU's 27 nation governments to look for any traces of Blueski, like EU-based offices. The regulator hasn't reached out to Blueski directly yet, the Financial Times writes. They didn't immediately reply to The Verge's request for comment. The DSA has designed the whole platform as legally responsible for content posted to them, but with fewer than 45 million users. Blue Sky isn't big enough yet, so it's not even halfway there yet.
Jesus. So what was the threshold?
The DSA has designed the whole platform as legally responsible for content posted to them, but with fewer than 45 million users.
Okay, fewer than 45 million users. So that's Yeah, I think Blue Sky's at like 20 million.
Blue Sky isn't big enough yet, so it's not even halfway there yet.
Booming signups drove it up to 15 million users, and then it was at 22.5 million users. And again, a lot of people are just going over there and they're just having accounts on multiple social media platforms.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not like everybody's fleeing like they keep trying to spin it.
Yeah, this is probably more like people having an X account and a Blue Sky account, like more probably than deleting their X account and making a Blue Sky account.
Yeah. So yeah, this person says I can't wait for EU moderation rules to take effect. Bluesky is a mess of hate speech, threats, and PDF files.
It really is. But it doesn't count because it's their hate speech.
That's crazy that it's got so many PDF files and maps and just it's why would anyone want to go over there?
Yeah, that's right. It's not hate speech.
It's just the truth when it's them.
If you hate the right people, it's not hate speech, right?
Right.
If you
Correct.
hate the right, that's not hate speech,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, so they're talking about regulation being questionable, and it is kind of, but that's interesting for them to come out and say, yeah, you're technically breaking the law, but you're not big enough to worry about.
That's what got me was that's the not big enough part. That's what I find the funniest part of all of it because they keep, like I said, in lockstep.
That reminds me, that's like police going, oh, you're a drug dealer, but you're not a big enough drug dealer to worry about, so we'll just let you keep
This
doing
guy's
what you're
so
doing."
big, it's so important. Suck it, Elon Musk. Haha, Blue Sky's coming.
He can't
It's like a
find it.
little-
He can't suck it if
I
he
know,
can't find
it's
it.
too tiny. But then they're saying we can't even go after them for violations yet because they're not even tall enough to ride the ride to get charged with violations.
You're not even tall enough to ride Denmark yet, Blue Sky.
No offense to Denmark.
That's too funny. Oh my lord. I love listening this. I love listening to this. It's
Blue
It's a
Sky is
good
growing. This is
education
coming
for
from
me.
Business Insider. Blue Sky is growing so fast, it's racing to get a hold of more servers, says its COO. This is
It's
Rose Wang,
racing to
the
get a hold
COO
more
of Bluesky.
servers, huh?
It's a 20-person. They only have a 20-person team. Wait.
A 20-person
So,
team.
okay, Blue Sky's user base surged to 21 million, prompting the company to race to get more servers. Okay, that is fair. Rose Wang, the COO, told Business Insider its 20-person
Apparently
team
my
is in
heart rate is
firefighting
high.
mode. Okay, there are independently owned websites
That's not a good
that
thing.
have more than 20 people working
Oh
for them.
well.
That's kind of, I mean, if that's all they have, that's kind of crazy. But that also shows you that Elon Musk was correct when he went into Twitter and fired a whole bunch of people. They have way
Yup.
more people than they
Yeah,
actually
they
needed,
kept saying
you know?
they were mad about that.
They are. That's pretty much exactly. I'm not surprised that it's filled with all those pieces of shit. That's where they all went to. Yep, that's true. That's very true. That they all fled away to Blue Sky so they could say whatever they want to say.
There you go. Yeah, 280,000 people closed their accounts on election day, but some of them could have been like not related to the election.
Yeah.
And Blue Sky sat there forever. No one went to it until this, and then they all started jumping over there. But even then, people go over and then they quit because they're like, this place is insane compared to X.
Yeah.
You think X is toxic? That place is worse.
Wow. They people actually quit Blue Sky because of how bad it is. That's crazy. That I didn't know.
Well, they clearly don't have enough people to. I mean, they had 45,000 flaggings in like the first 3 hours.
But a lot of it was child stuff. But beyond that, it's
is
just like
insane.
on X, at least you have both sides, and you're allowed that both sides are allowed to have an opinion. You don't have to agree. You can disagree, agree, whatever.
Yeah.
But there, it's definitely one-sided. To the place that people say anything that would not get you, kicked off of social media, other places, you're kicked off immediately over there.
Yeah, so here's the thing though. Once they hit that 45 million number, which they probably will. I'm gonna be honest, they probably will. Maybe not right
Yeah.
away. I think a lot of people went over there.
They probably will do. They probably will hit the 45 million mark, but then done, will they be held to account for what they're doing?
Because of the election.
And I
But-
think a lot of people are going to leave again because it's
Yeah.
like
Yes.
it's nuts.
So, I mean, they're going to hit that, and they're going to have to regulate it more anyway, because, yeah, you can't be like, hey, yeah, EU, we've only got 20 people working here, and we don't have anybody that's really looking into all the
how do you
PDF
have
files.
only 20 people working for a company that has 20 million users? That seems like you might want a few more people.
Because we're just too busy trying to keep the thing up and running, and they're going to be like, yeah, that's not good enough. Or it could be they could be fishing for more investors, too.
I don't know.
More money.
I just thought this is funny. They said the U.S. election appears to have triggered a migration of X users to Blue Sky. I think a lot of people will have both, which has been praised because
Blue Sky put out a message, or had to put out a message telling people to stop reporting accounts because they had like 1 million reports in a day. Holy fuck, seriously? That's nuts.
of its similarity to old Twitter. Similarity to old Twitter would be, oh, look, cute cat videos, people sharing art and sharing pictures and things
Yeah.
like that, which they do have on there.
Yeah.
But when they say similar to old Twitter, they mean when we ran it, we were allowed to say whatever we wanted, and we kept banning people for any idea that wasn't far left.
Exactly. That's what they mean by similar to old Twitter. They don't mean we want something that was similar to the user interface of old Twitter or the content of old Twitter. No, we want it to be run the way we ran old Twitter.
It's like that, but way worse than it was before on Twitter.
Yeah, and for some people, old Twitter for them is 2017, 2018. We're talking like we joined Twitter in like 2008, 2009,
Yeah.
when it was just
I
cute cat
joined in
videos and people
2011,
posting
I
artwork.
think.
And now they always have alternate, like when Tumblr
Or
was burning down, they
2013, I
had
can't
Pillow
remember.
Fort.
Oh, yes, I remember Pillow
And
Fort.
that just never really went anywhere. They had another Twitter alternative at one point in time. It's called Ello, and that never went anywhere. So I don't know. I remember Mastodon was where everybody was going. Remember Mastodon? No.
That's where a lot of blind people ran to a couple of years ago. It's more accessible. No, it's not.
Nobody talks about it.
Now,
So-
I will say that Twitter on my computer is far less accessible than Twitter on my phone. I will say that. And I will say that so that the user interface for Twitter on the Mac computer is crap.
This part here, they're talking about.
I can't speak to it on the
They're saying about
PC.
everybody's leaving because of the hate speech and stuff that's on X. This is what someone posted. I found this summed up.
It's a Jack
the
Dorsey
Blue Sky pretty
product.
well.
Of course it's gonna be
Just
like
to be
old
clear,
Twitter.
I'm not
It's
part of
true.
the tolerant left. I'm part of the eat shit and die, you treasonous assholes left.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
non-toxic.
Yeah.
Some of the non-toxic stuff. They have a whole bunch of conspiracy theories that anybody doesn't agree with them as a cult. They have, all kinds of stuff like that over there, and they're like, but it's where the hate speech is as Twitter only, X only.
They are mentioning the situation with Jack Dorsey, though.
Yeah.
They said, launched a beta version last year, and users could only join with an invite code until February, which I did, and then I forgot it existed. Dorsey exited the board of directors in May as it shifted towards a corporate structure and told Wired that it was literally repeating all the mistakes that Twitter made.
Oh, what does that mean, Jack? Does that mean does that mean allowing horrible content on your platform?
Because it's the same people.
But that's
probably.
what people want. That's what these people want. They
Yeah.
want to pretend that they still have Twitter, so they're going to go over there. And I don't know. It might.
Wait.
might
I
do
was
well.
the head. I was Twitter's head of content strategy. What, before you got fired?
Yeah.
This guy is the edge of our threads. Be the new Twitter. If people leave X, let me guess. This guy was one of the ones that got fired.
Technically, we joined in 2009, but they didn't officially give us a status of when we joined till 2011. I remember when the retweet button didn't exist and you had to put an RT at the beginning of your post. Oh, yes! /RT.
Yeah. Yeah. This guy right here is Gordon McMillan. Yeah, so he has concerns. Yeah, he got shit canned.
We don't know that. I'm guessing.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, it just seems like the type of thing someone who was mad about it would do. But I don't know for sure that's what happened. I'm saying that's my guess.
Yeah, so they had to open it up to everybody because apparently it was like a hot exclusive club to be.
It wasn't a hot exclusive club.
It wasn't. You get
Nobody was in there until they opened it up to
No.
everyone.
Oh, I love when Geeky gets mad like that. It makes me laugh. So
It really wasn't that hard. I don't even know how I got the invite code. I didn't get it from somebody on there. I think I just applied for it, and after like 2 weeks they sent me a
they're
code.
like, yeah, sure. Here
And I
you
think they were
go."
trying to mitigate like how many new signups they would have, and if they have a very small team, it's probably why. But that is not a glowing endorsement to have Jack Dorsey be like after a year or two be like, yeah, it's literally just turning into Twitter all over again, and that's
I'm
a huge
out,
mistake.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, when like that is kind of funny when Jack Dorsey's like, I don't think this is working. I'm done. I'm leaving. This is turning into the thing that I already didn't like, so I sold it.
I am not going to bring another Twitter into this world. But yeah, she said that they want to have new features like moderation.
No. That wasn't a feature.
They're placing efforts on moderation. Well, here's the thing: they're going to be so busy firefighting and trying to moderate this dumpster fire that they're not going to have any manpower to do anything new with it.
No.
It's basically just keep the infrastructure up. But people want it to be Twitter 2017. That's literally all Twitter 2017 was posts, and you couldn't do all the stuff you can do with X now.
No. There was no videos. There was no audio recording. There was no like repost button or like button, or like that share button wasn't there. It was much different.
So they wish they had the resources to go build those features. The team is focused on, let's make sure that one, the website stays online, and two, that moderation is intact, so we're responding to reports within 24 hours with global coverage, and three, that people are able to find each other and the end users having a good experience. Eventually, you're going to have to make money, though.
Wait, so
Yeah.
we're more worried about this stuff than the end user having a good experience.
Of course.
Yeah. So they said, yeah, they're going to have a paid subscription model by the end of the year. So there you go. That's going to chase the
they're
budget.
literally turning into Twitter, just with less features and a paid subscription. Oh, that's brilliant. That's just brilliant. That's, oh my lord. That is too funny. They're just they're gonna have a paid subscription model by the end of the year. That's too funny. I can't believe that. How can you charge people for something when it's got less features than the thing that they already left? That is so stupid. That is, I can't even imagine the stupidity of that. I'm kind of lost for words here. So let's switch topics to the biggest troll in the food industry, which is Taco Bell, apparently. Let's learn about that.
This is going to be one of those times where you're like, man, I feel like I knew that. It just never really dawned on me until now.
Oh, Nick, what do you got for us?
Today we're talking about Taco Bell, probably the biggest troll in the restaurant industry. Buh! That's not true. Have you read Wendy's Twitter? It's hilarious. Buh! Yeah, we know. Wendy's has a funny Twitter where they clap back at people in the comment section.
They do. They really do. Their Twitter is rather amusing. I enjoy it.
Okay, what I need you to understand is that Taco Bell has been out here actively trolling entire government agencies, and they've been doing it since back in the 90s before the internet made that shit easy. They're quite literally one of, if not the only pioneer of meme-style marketing. And we're going to get into it right after word from our sponsor. This video is brought to you by Sheath. Okay, look, I'm not going to overcomplicate this. It's underwear with a pocket inside. The official underwear of the that have been told at every doctor's underwear. You can buy a pair, try it. It's the exact same, except now you've got a secret pocket that you can like underwear. The best case scenario is
Sorry,
that you
Nick.
Bell, Taco Bell. Anyways, moving on. The young man by the name of Glenn Bell. See what they did there? Glenn Bell, Taco Bell. Anyways, moving on. Glenn Bell has just returned home from serving his country as a cook in the United States Marine Corps. Okay, right out of the gate, things are already starting to add up. I've said it once and I'll say it again. You don't call up the Marines unless you want something dead, broken, or pregnant. And I've known that Taco
Oh my god, that's too funny.
Bell was military food all along. But Glenn didn't start off by selling Mexican food right out of the gate. He
Taco
actually
Bell.
opened up a hot dog stand in San Bernardino, California, known as Glenn's Drive-In.
Yeah,
and things go absolutely awesome.
See,
They go so
I don't
awesome
want Taco Bell. I want freaking Thai food. That's what I want.
that after a couple of years, he opens up a second location and expands into not only selling hot dogs, but also selling hamburgers. But then another restaurant comes into San Bernardino, California, and they're also just trying to sell a bunch of hamburgers, a little company called McDonald's.
A little company. I love that. I love that.
So Glenn
that
decides,
quip.
you know what, I'm not going to try out hamburger McDonald's. I'm going to go ahead and make a slight alteration to my menu. I'm not going to sell hot dogs and hamburgers anymore. I'm going to start selling tacos. And my favorite little fun fact about this is that Taco Bell's taco sauce is actually Glenn Bell's original recipe for the chili in his chili dog.
Really? I had no idea about that. That's interesting.
Wait a minute.
That's it. Einhorn is Finkel. Finkel is Einhorn. Einhorn is a man. Oh my God!
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, did you guys know that tacos are just Mexican hot dogs?
Services for emergencies only?
Yeah, I know, but hear me out. This explains why Taco Bell's original slogan was always think outside the bun.
Holy
She is suffering.
That's true. Oh my god. That's Jesus Christ. I didn't think about it that way. A taco is a Mexican hot dog. Holy shit. That's too funny. I never thought about it that way. Think outside the bun.
Piece of hemorrhoids I have ever seen.
Sorry, I got really distracted. Anyways, he goes from selling hot dogs and hamburgers, changes the name of his restaurant to Taco Tia, and now he starts selling tacos out of a drive-thru window. And his entire strategy is volume. He wants to sell as many tacos as possible, as cheaply as possible. He ends up selling tacos for 19 cents a piece, and the reason he's able to do that is he just streamlines the entire making or assembly process of a taco. And the
19 cents a piece tacos. That just sounds too good to be
way
true.
he does that is he pretty much exclusively utilizes hard shells. That way, tacos are just easier to make and the shells are always ready. And to some degree, he's kind of credited with inventing the hard shell taco, which probably isn't true, but he's definitely the reason that they became so popular. And if you think that sounds crazy, it's absolutely not. You got to remember, this is like the 1950s. A lot of people in America that weren't near the southern border had never even heard of a taco, let alone had one. For
Okay, so that's why it's 19 cents a taco. It's the 1950s. But still, Jesus Christ, 19 cents tacos, I would kill for that.
a lot of people at this point in time, the first time they actually
You could go and get 5 tacos for $1.
had Mexican food was at a Taco Bell once they started expanding. But regardless, the point is Glenn Bell has officially just become the Henry Ford of tacos, okay? Just mass production. And
The
to nobody's
craziest part is they were still $1 in 2009. That is crazy.
surprise, that goes great. He grows Taco Tia into multiple locations, ends up selling the entire brand off to another company, starts his own company to grow it again. This one is called El Taco. Does the same thing all over again, grows a company, sells it off. This time he wants to do it a 4th time, but he wants to make it a franchise company and he wants to run the entire thing. So he needs some capital. He partners up with 4 players from the NFL's LA Rams, and they end up starting the very first Taco Bell in 1962. And absolutely nobody's surprised, they totally crush it. I mean, they're selling 19-cent tacos to Americans. It's basically a layup.
No kidding. Like, Jesus Christ, 19-cent tacos? You show up with a $2 bill, you've got yourself freaking 10 tacos. Oh my lord, now I want tacos.
In the NBA, though.
Long pass, perfect to Reese. Well, again, no Brian Reese. Further to go. Angel, physical game. Kennedy, Carter.
I mean, I'll never forget eating Del Taco's 3 for 99-cent deal. And neither does my toilet. I have also eaten at an El Taco. What's the difference between Del Taco and El Taco?
Anyways, within 5 years of being in business, they're doing so well that by 1967, other successful fast food franchises are looking to cut in to this fast food Mexican niche. So Pizza Hut actually starts their own restaurant called Taco Boy, ends up being a huge failure. They cannot out-taco the Bell.
Taco Boy? I cannot imagine Pizza Hut having something called a Taco
Fast forward
Boy.
10 more years, they crush it the entire time, and then in 1978, they actually do end up getting bought out by a larger company, Pepsi.
Omelet sausage.
Okay, and this is the most important part of the story because this is where shit gets completely out of hand, okay? Pepsi also bought a bunch of other restaurants right around the same time, like KFC and Pizza Hut. But
Okay.
Pepsi wasn't out there buying all these restaurants because they were trying to make money off of the restaurant, right? They didn't think they could sell tacos better than Taco Bell. They didn't think they could sell pizza better than Pizza Hut. They bought them so that they could beat Coke. You see, because at this point,
Gotta beat Coke. Got nothing more but to beat Coca-Cola.
time, Coca-Cola is number one. It's not even close. Everybody prefers Coke, and Coke is in every
One has
restaurant
a
in
D,
America.
one
And
doesn't.
Pepsi realizes that they need to be able to get their soda into restaurants so that people are forced to try it.
Here comes the airplane. There you go. Open into the hangar. There you go. Yeah, eat it. Put it in your mouth, but just eat it. God, I hate it.
And at this point, pretty much no restaurants in America are going to willingly carry Pepsi products because everybody wants Coke and they don't want to have to tell every customer, is Pepsi okay?
Yeah, no. Like, there was a comedian once that made a joke where they were at a restaurant and they asked for a Coke and someone was like, the waitress was like, is Pepsi okay? And he's like, sure. Is Monopoly money okay for me to pay with it? Because
So in PepsiCo's mind, in a complete just gangster big dick move, they're like, you know what, fuck it, we're just gonna force restaurants to carry Pepsi. We're gonna buy out entire restaurant chains and then force them to carry Pepsi products, which is gonna force the customer to drink Pepsi, and then we're gonna get a following. And why this is important to Taco Bell's story is because the new owner of Taco Bell doesn't really give a shit about tacos. Okay, new mission is not to sell good quality Mexican food at a fair price. No, the new mission is get as many motherfuckers through the door as possible and force them to try Pepsi.
no, that's no good. That's no good at all. We need good tacos at 19
And at this
cents
point,
a
Taco
shot.
Bell, aka the restaurant founded by a Marine, is like, I'm gonna do dumb shit and troll everybody. Which, to be fair, is a completely reasonable reaction when your entire company basically gets turned into a front to waterboard people with Pepsi. Hey, we're just gonna take the shenanigans from the top, okay? In 1992, Taco Bell hired Johnny Cash to be their spokesperson, right? And I
Wait, they did what?
know what you're thinking. Why is that funny? Johnny Cash is awesome. Seems like a great spokesperson. A, I completely agree. But B, it's funny because he's the guy that got famous for singing The Ring of Fire. Okay, move.
Yeah, that is funny. The that is amusing. The Ring of Fire. We all know what that
The very
means.
next year, 1993, Demolition Man the movie comes out. Okay,
Yep.
for those of you that are not familiar with this cinematic masterpiece, here's the entire plot line. We're gonna take Rocky, we're gonna put him inside of a popsicle, and then we're gonna thaw him out like 100 years in the future so that he can fight Blade with blonde hair. So Taco Bell jumps in and they're like, you know what? Make us
Blade
every
with
single
blonde
restaurant
hair.
in the future. During the storyline of this movie,
Not
have a little
wrong.
offshoot where you pepper in the fact that every restaurant in the world is now Taco Bell because there was restaurant wars and Taco Bell fucking won. Okay, the longer this story goes on, the more sense it makes that it was founded by a Marine. By the time 1996 rolls around, they decide they're not gonna just troll their customers, they're gonna start trolling everybody, including the United States government. So
Oh,
what
good.
they did for April Fools in 1996 is they took out a full-page ad in the 7 biggest newspapers in America claiming that Taco Bell had reached an agreement with the US government to purchase the fucking Liberty Bell and that they were renaming it the Taco Liberty Bell.
They did not. Oh my my god, they did not do that. Holy shit, that is hilarious. Oh my god, I wish I had been a little bit older and I could remember
Now, bear in
that.
mind, this is 1996. Public outcry is still moving pretty slow. There's no Twitter, there's no social medias where people can just
Fuck you,
immediately be a
100 years, it was
reactionary
only
at the drop of a hat.
35
No, if you
years.
want to be upset about something, you've got to write a letter or you've got to go get a phone book,
Well, it's
track down
Nick, you
somebody's
know.
phone number,
We love
and
Nick,
call
but
them.
sometimes
There was
he
so
says
much public
silly things.
outcry that by noon of April Fools, the Philadelphia branch of the National Park Service had to have an emergency press conference and tell everybody that it was just a joke and that they
my
didn't sell the
God.
Liberty Bell to a taco company. Also,
That's hilarious. No, you guys. We're not actually selling the Liberty Bell to a taco company. Don't worry. Everybody calm down.
also worth noting, because it's funny, the White House press secretary at the time, when he was asked about this joke, decided to be a complete smartass and respond by saying, and I quote, "The federal government is also selling the Lincoln Memorial to Ford Motor Company and renaming it the Lincoln Mercury Memorial."
Oh my god. What a fucking shit stirrer.
And my personal favorite, in 2001, the Russian/Soviet space station Mir was going to collide back to Earth. Okay, this is like the last remaining symbol of Soviet space travel success, and it is going to fall into the ocean.
It's got to be his big break. We've got to fuck with him.
So Taco Bell is like, fuck it, we're gonna get a giant inflatable target and stick it in that part of the ocean with a big ass bullseye that says free tacos here. And
Oh no, they did not.
if the Russians can manage to hit this fucking target with their space station, we're gonna give free tacos to everybody in America.
That's fucking hilarious. Oh my god. That is... I cannot believe that. That is... That is too funny.
Okay, this is why Pepsi's my favorite
cannot
soda brand.
believe
Do I
it. How
like
do
the
I
taste?
not know?
No, but I just
remember
like
any of
how
this?
much they hate the USSR. Okay, for those of you a little fuzzy on the timeline, the USSR disbanded in 1991, right? 6 years later, in 1997, Pizza Hut, the other restaurant owned by Pepsi, gets Mikhail Gorbachev, the former leader of the USSR, to appear in a Pizza Hut commercial to send the very clear, very loud message of communism can't out Pizza the Hut. And
That's too great. Here, Gorbachev, come here and do an anti-communist ad for Pizza Hut.
Now, 4 years after that, the Mir space station, the last remaining symbol of Soviet success at literally anything, is about to fall out of orbit and collide with the planet, and a taco company is putting a giant target in outer space, offering free tacos to the entire country that beat them in the Cold War if they manage to hit this target with any remnants of the Soviet space station.
I just can't believe that. I don't even remember this broadcast or this news item. Because 2001, I would have been old enough to remember anything. That makes
Not only
me
is this
so
going to
sad.
maximize the amount of people watching with anticipation as one of the last living memories of the Soviet Union dies, it's also one giant last middle finger letting them know, hey, we have complete confidence that you guys always miss. Which is exactly what happened. The Soviet space station did not hit the target, probably because it wasn't at point blank facing a wall, and Taco Bell did not have to buy everyone in America a taco. So Taco Bell is just god tier level shit talking and trolling, but on top of that, they also have brilliant marketing ideas. My personal favorite and most infuriating, mostly because it didn't stick around, was in 2017, Taco Bell collaborated with Lyft to have a taco mode inside of their app. And what taco mode was is that when you got picked up by your Lyft driver, they would then immediately take you to the closest Taco Bell drive-thru, let you get food, and then take you home from the bar.
Okay, that's pretty awesome. That I will say that if you're like at the bar and you're drunk and you want something like tacos or like whatever, that's pretty awesome that Lyft would take you straight to the Taco Bell. That's pretty awesome.
Okay, I don't know how this feature didn't stick around longer. Maybe I'm in the minority, apparently, but this is exactly what I want, okay? I spent my entire childhood getting told don't talk to strangers. As a grown-ass adult, there's nothing I want more in my life than to be able to summon a stranger with my cell phone and have them take me to Taco Bell before dropping my drunk ass off at home.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna order all the ridiculous shit they've had on the menu over the years, because remember, they're only there to push Pepsi products. They don't care about having good quality Mexican food, and that's
Nope.
why they've essentially turned their entire menu into a circus show.
They really have. Here, let's put Doritos in the tacos. Let's make a taco in a quesadilla in a crunch wrap, whatever the hell it is.
Love it. The entire menu is just like the shit that you would talk about with your buddies when you were like drunk or high. Like,
Yep.
bro, you know what would sound good if we made a quesadilla and then turned that quesadilla into the shell for a burrito? We'll call it the quesarito.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, Nick. You described that perfectly. You described that exactly what I was trying to
Oh man,
do.
this crunch wrap sure is good. You know what would make it better? If we replaced the hard shell tortilla on the inside with a giant fucking Cheez-It. And you know what? While we're at it, we might as well make the hard shell tacos shell a giant Dorito. Why not? So yeah, in conclusion, that is the story of Taco Bell. That time that a Marine came home from World War II, started a Mexican hot dog restaurant that somehow perfected the art of shit-talking, trolling, and creating weird menu items, all on its quest to force people to drink Pepsi. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over the...
Gotta love the trolling. Gotta love the trolling. Oh, the Taco Bell Twitter account. You know, the PepsiCo angle didn't even dawn on me. I didn't know this. I didn't either. This is kind of cool about watching these videos. You get to learn some pretty interesting stuff. Like what we're gonna learn about the Tim Hortons. What's this called? Tim Hortons Indian immigration scam. We love hip hop. Oh, this is probably gonna be really, really weird, but I can't wait. I cannot wait to see what this has to be, or what this is like. Let's take a look.
Czar was talking about earlier, and salute to DJ Czar. Salute. He was talking about the Timmy's boycott. Did you see this?
No, I did not. Fill me in.
So Canadians, and this is courtesy of Keeps It Solid. This is the post saying, Canadians are going to boycott Tim Hortons before the year is up. It's not the fault of the foreign workers. It's the corporations and the government's fault. Those same workers are being sold dreams. Our government pays percentage of each foreign worker's salary, so businesses are not hiring Canadians. Our government is incentivized to hire incentivizing them to hire out. Everyone benefits, but Canadians. Almost every kid I know is without work.
Yeah.
This puts extra burden on our parents that need assistance.
It's not just that. It's not just the parents that need assistance. It's people, like kids need entry-level positions to pad their resume. Like you don't want to be throwing your kid into the deep end of the workforce, right? And nobody's going to give you a job if you don't have entry-level experience. So this is it's not just, parents need help with the bills, so therefore kids need to get a job. It's kids need to get a job so that they have experience in working, and they're just not getting it.
Yep. So the government is paying a percentage to every foreign worker's salary.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Which in turn, how much they're making back in return, because the government don't pay something without making something back on the back end. Right? So in turn, because of the government's plan, people from here have less jobs.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Should Tim Hortons be boycotted for this, or is
If one of these, if one more of these fuckers touches my lid to hand me my coffee, I'm gonna pull them through the window. Oh my god, gross.
let me ask you that first.
Government and the Tim Hortons. Fire.
Is it Timmy's fault though? I think it's more the government's fault than it's the owner.
Government's fault, but it's because they see the cash grab. If you're an owner, you're like, what?
It's both. It's the government's fault for incentivizing it, but it's also the owner's fault for falling for the incentive.
You're gonna pay percentage of what? Okay, I'm just gonna give this person minimum wage.
Yeah.
And not hire any white kids or black kids, and hire all these, you know where it's going, and then.
Yeah, you could even give them under minimum wage, and then the percentage that the government might covers. Now they're at minimum wage, and you got to save some money in your pocket.
Yep.
Now I know it's actually what's going on.
Yo, that's deep, bro. Now that I really take it in, bro. Wow.
It's messed up. The government does not want its citizenry to have good paying jobs, does not want its citizenry to have a place to live, and does not want its citizenry to have good food, because then its citizenry would be able to be able to stand up for themselves.
The government pays a percentage to each foreign worker's salary. Why would I hire anybody from here?
Yeah, but then
one of your kids go for a job at Tim Hortons, they're getting turned down, fam.
Yeah. But now you know where the slavery comes into play.
Oh, hell yeah.
There's a lot of slavery. This is modern day slavery.
It's indentured servitude. It's the same with the foreign nannies that come over. You can pay them less to do what you need to do, and they'll stay, and they'll help you, and they'll live with you, and they'll take care of, like, it's horrible the way the foreign nannies are treated.
Paid by the government.
Okay, check it out. Any job that has a bunch of immigrants in it technically is a low paying job now. Jobs that were high paying jobs before that now have immigrants in it are now considered a low paying job.
Yeah.
That's what happened to our country. We're in shambles.
Bro, a Tim Hortons in Toronto now, like, to say boycott it, I don't think it'll ever happen, because it's just, well, fam, like, I got an ice cap over here. Like, I'm kind of like, I love my ice caps. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but
Well, you can go get an iced coffee from McDonald's, which is tastier.
you know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be a filler. Like, we boycott something like Tim Hortons, they fold, right? They fold. Now there's in the background, there's those guys in those boardrooms like, okay, we're gonna come with a better Tim Hortons now, and we're gonna make it fair again.
Yeah,
because people, like, I remember walking into Tim Hortons.
The live-in nannies are paid in less because you can claim what you pay out for them to live with you as wages. I don't know. I'm not going to lie, the food industry and every other industry is now learning what the manufacturing sector has been dealing with for well over 20 years. They taste like shit compared to the Timmy stuff, and you know that, don't lie. The one part that these guys are not talking about is the fact that Tim Hortons has not been owned by Canada or a Canadian company for close to 20 years. That's true too. That's very true. The fact that Tim Hortons has been owned by an American and then a, what was it, Brazilian company? It's, yeah, it's been,
And it was a
it's,
variety of people
that's true.
Mm.
who worked there.
And
Right?
orders were all getting done right.
You know, some people took pride in it. I remember Tim Hortons used to just be coffee and Timbits.
Yeah, yeah. Now you can get a pizza in there.
Now you can fully get a cheap ass pizza in there that I
Yep.
would not buy.
No, God, no. I would never buy the Tim Hortons pizza. Or the Tim Hortons grilled cheese and tomato.
Well, that's the thing too, right? When you start adding all of these extra things to the menu, and people who don't really speak the language, especially like people who freshly just came here,
Yeah.
Bad.
bro, there's a lot of instructions for like, it's not like a little coffee and donuts, bro. There's, you know what I'm saying? I need a wrap. I need this. I need all that. Da 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 da. And the person's like, what?
Yeah, it's true. And then you sound like a racist shitbag for being like, oh my God, why can't you speak the language that you're trying to serve people in?
And I want it specially made like this with no mayo and, you know, extra this. Bro, I can't understand what you're saying, bro.
And on top of that, they're a computer geek.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really going into culinary.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't come here for that.
Before you would get geared to what you were gonna do. So let's say you wanted to be a chef. Yeah, your high school or somebody would tell you go to Tim Hortons or go to Wendy's,
Yeah.
work in these places, and
Yeah,
then work
yeah.
your way up and then
Get in the field.
Get in the field
Mhm.
of culinary,
Yeah.
right? You're not a computer whiz and then flipping burgers.
Yeah, people screaming orders at you, bro.
Yeah, so you're gonna
No, you're not. That's not something that you'll be wanting to do. As a computer person, you're not gonna be like, I want to go cook.
you're not gonna get the guy that you need, right? So a person that wants to be a chef now goes to like try to get in to Tim Hortons, start there. They're 16 years old. They want to be a chef though.
Yeah.
Someone tells them go to Tim Hortons, start learning how to make.
I'll go to the grocery store and buy those $6 ones that are basically the same but way better. That's
Make
good
stuff.
point.
Make donuts. Make coffee. Whatever. Be a baker.
Yeah, yeah.
They get stopped now because now there's someone there in that position that's like a computer geek.
Yeah.
He's a tech guy.
Yeah.
And he's just doing it to get by. So he doesn't give a shit how he literally does your sandwich, bro.
Yeah.
Slaps that together and fling that at you, bro. Doesn't give a damn how you ate it. How
Yeah.
you feel after. It's an energy thing too, right? So
Yeah.
That's true.
fam, I see exactly what you just said. Like, nah, B, boycott this shit. Start a new Tim Hortons. Make it all Canadian again.
That's very true.
Bro, this thing here that's been going on that we've been talking about for multiple episodes.
Yeah.
Apparently, Canada Post is going to lay off striking workers temporarily. That's very interesting.
It's crazy, bro. Like, I talked about it the other day with Aiden. Like, when he came here, we reacted on live to him saying, yo, why are there so many fucking Indians here? Da, da, da. And I thought that people were going to be in the comments like, yo, bun Aiden, get him out of here anyway. You're not from here, blah, 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 blah.
No,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yo, they were like, yeah, he's right. So,
It's and it's unfortunate, right? Because then you sound, like I said, you sound like a racist piece of shit when you're like, why are there so many people here that are not of the same color of and same
you know, no lie
people? Like,
detected. I was like, what the hell? Yo, what is up with us over here, fam? Look at his comment section, bro. He's becoming a real Canadian. Laugh out loud. Like,
He understands.
What? Aiden Ross is a real G. He's an honorary Canadian now.
oh,
That's
Jesus
why no one gave him up.
Christ. No, thank you.
Yo.
We don't want Aiden Ross as an
They are
honorary
rude and they
Canadian.
stink. Like, what?
Oh, man.
No, thank you.
Bro, fam, like, what's happening
Okay.
to our culture over here, bro?
No,
We got
I believe I get like it's the same. It's true. Like, what is going on with the culture? it's so sad because you have to point out, you know, why are there so many Indian people here? Why are there so many this here? Because of the temporary foreign workers
Because
stuff.
okay,
It's horrible.
Okay, you see in in Hindustan, right? I'm gonna just say it like this: it wasn't made into India until like I don't know if it was 1957 or in the 70s, one or the other. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the comments. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's a casting system they have over there.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that you see coming here are from the lowest caste. That's why people will be like, oh, they stink, oh, they're rude, and oh, da. They're good people. I'm just gonna be real with you guys.
Yeah.
They're good people, but it depends what casting system they come from. Right? So you see the ones that were here like in the 80s and stuff like that. You grew up with in the 90s and can speak proper English. You wouldn't even know. You'd think they're Trini.
Yeah.
Think they're Guyanese, but they're really Hindu. You know what I mean? Those are ones from a different casting system. They could be a little lighter.
That's true. And now we get to deal with the caste system issues.
It started.
Uh-oh.
Here, have a non-Toronto Timmy's coffee. Wow, your legs are bad.
Yeah.
That is brutal.
They are. They really hurt.
And I gotta be in work early.
What was I gonna say? Right.
I hope you're right.
No, I know I'm flipping right, but I just don't know what the name is to say. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't really want to study us. So I haven't been interested to really study all of them, right? I just know what they're mixed with, what they come with. I don't want to even say it on this, just to, you know what I mean?
You don't want to sound like these comments right here.
I don't want to sound like
Kilimanjaro said, truth hurts. Like, whoa.
Yeah, that's a little bit harsh. You know, like the whole talking about the...
You guys really showed your true colors.
They don't care, right? Like, imagine how they felt about us.
Oh, man. Once upon a time, that was us for real, eh? Like, bro, this video is monetized. Like, YouTube didn't even care.
Jesus.
That's to show you.
It's like hate comments, bro.
That's to show you.
I'm sorry. I'm like ratting out. I'm heating up the block. YouTube, keep it monetized.
Yeah,
but I'm
keep
just
it,
saying, like, these are not friendly comments, bro.
Nah.
Everybody's like, yeah, get him out of here.
Right? So
That's crazy. That's crazy that people are that upset about what people are, like the type of people that are here. And I said that we were gonna see a pendulum swing back to more actual racist stuff, and we're starting to see it.
Imagine what they used to say about us in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s and the early 1900s and even now.
Imagine what it feels like to be an Indian guy these days and times.
No, but it depends on which one you are.
The ones that you're talking about, a low caste or lower caste Indian person.
They don't care. They don't care.
They're like, F you too?
They don't. Yeah, this is my country now. Marasaka. You know, like, this is my country. Like,
you don't think they're like kind of like on alert, bro? Like, if I could understand some of this English content, which obviously they can because they're living here in Canada.
Yeah.
And they run by some of these We Love Hip Hop videos or the comment section, I'd be like, yo, I need to go get a strap, bro. They don't like me, man.
I don't know. These guys, I don't know what I feel about this. They did have a point to make, but I think I feel like I've gotten their point. it's very interesting to hear the just some other perspectives on what's going on with this Tim Hortons or temporary foreign worker immigration thing from not just the question period side, but from other sides as well. So let's jump into our question period here. I want to show you some of the cringiest nonsense I think I've ever seen in the House of Commons. This is just before oral questions starts. And you know the song, These Are a Few of My Favorite Things, for like the Christmas Carol? Yeah, well, this MP decided that she was going to step up and to the mic and use her declaration and statement time for this.
Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens, children's scarves and warm woolen mittens, books and newspapers tied with strings, these are a few of my favorite things. Restaurant meals and crisp apple strudels, snacks and candy and schnitzel with noodles, toys and board games and the joy that they bring. These are a few of my favorite things. And these things will be exempted from GST starting December 14th, Mr. Speaker. This tax break will give Canadians more money in their pockets during the holidays, a time when the costs go up for many families.
Can you believe that? Can you believe that absolute cringy nonsense? I could not...
Leader of the official opposition.
I could not believe listening to that today. Because I did listen to some of question period today. And, I could not believe just how cringy that was. It was so horrible. It was awful. But now we're going to get into the oral questions. And we have the translator that we like.
Oral questions. The Honorable Leader of the Official Opposition. The Prime Minister is weak, and he's lost control of our borders. He opened Roxham Road, and he kept it open a year after the Americans offered to close it.
Yup. He's not... This is all true.
He invited at least 700 foreign students by implicitly promising that they would be able to stay here permanently and who will now have to leave. And he lost 500,000 people. What is his plan to reestablish order at the borders and prevent American tariffs? The Honorable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As our colleague knows very well.
And of course, Mr. Trudeau is no longer in the House of Commons today.
The relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have with any other country.
Why would he be?
When it comes to security and when it comes to the economy. We work very well with the Americans, and we have for many years now, for many decades. And he also knows very well that 18 months ago, we signed a new third-party agreement, which the United States have celebrated since then, and which are going to bring back to the attention of our colleague. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Since the Prime Minister enjoys invading provincial jurisdiction, he's lost control of his own jurisdiction. He is incompetent when it comes to federal jurisdiction, like borders. It's the most important federal jurisdiction. In fact, now the provincial premiers have lost confidence in this Prime Minister. The Premier of Quebec is sending Quebec's provincial police force to defend the borders. Alberta's Premier is doing the same.
Yep. This is all true. Our provinces are sending provincial police to deal with border crossings.
Ontario's Premier is saying exactly the same things. How can we trust this Prime Minister? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Our colleague is talking about trust and jurisdiction. I answered this question a couple of minutes ago. If there's something that he can control, Mr. Speaker, it's he could ask for his security clearance.
Oh,
so
here we go again with the security clearance, people. Here we go again, because that's what we're talking about right now, right? We're talking about his security clearance, not the borders.
that he could protect his own caucus. He's not able to protect himself and his own caucus, and that's an issue of trust, Mr. Speaker. The trust of parliaments and the trust of Canadians depends on the ability of the leader of the official opposition to control his agenda and to ask for a security clearance.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This weak Prime Minister has lost control.
Yep.
He's lost control of immigration, lost control of our borders. And now we're facing massive threats to our economy. Right now, there are as many as 500,000 people here illegally. There are 700,000 students who came here with the implicit promise they'd be able to stay forever. And now they're being told they have to leave with the temptation that they might head south for the much stronger economy than we have here, which would provoke a massive retaliatory tariff. So what?
Exactly. This is where these tariffs are coming from. They are focused on if people come south from Canada to the United States, then they'll impose a tariff
What's the
on
plan
us.
to reverse all the damage the Prime Minister's done?
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Hundreds of thousands of people come to this country every year and then leave. They're called tourists.
We're not talking about tourists,
As
Sean.
temporary residents, and then they leave. Some become permanent residents. There is a plan to achieve that. They will migrate into permanent residency, but not all can stay here. And when they refuse to do so, they will be removed. But you can't make this up, Mr. Speaker. What the member opposite, the leader of the opposition, is doing with the member of Edmonton Millwoods is going around to these people, pandering to them, promising them to have visas and promising not to deport them. That's the.
What is he saying? He's saying that Poilievre is promising visas to these people? That doesn't make any sense. Why would Poilievre be promising visas to people who are here illegally and needing to be sent home?
That is highly irresponsible and it's incompetent.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, that member hallucinates almost as badly as his weak leader.
Well, he's got to figure out a way to say that he's lying without saying he's lying.
Who refuses to
Because
stand
you're not allowed to
answer
say
for
that
his
word in
own
Parliament.
Border failures. Let's look at his record. He opened Roxham Road. He kept it open for a year longer than the Americans required. He put out a tweet saying, "Welcome to Canada," inviting people to come here illegally. According to that minister's department, there are 500,000 people here illegally, all of whom could be tempted to go south of the border, provoking a massive retaliatory response. So once again, what's the plan to fix what he broke?
Yeah.
The Honourable Minister for Immigration, Citizenship and Refugees.
Speaker, we'll tweet out the video of him pandering to people, entertaining false hopes.
We'll tweet out the video. Oh, so you have a video, do you? You have a video of him pandering to people, promising them visas.
Promising visas to everyone, promising they won't get deported. That's highly incompetent. Worse than that, Mr. Speaker, is he's refusing to get his security clearance. That is irresponsible for any purported leader of this country, any responsible person in politics. He needs to grow a pair, get the briefing.
That's unparliamentary. That is severely unparliamentary right there. Oh, and he's going to mute the microphone. Of course he is. Because why would we get to hear him chastise anybody, right?
There is a There is a large flexibility that the Speaker gives, of course, to the language that's used in here. But
Oh,
I
is
think
there?
that might be
There is a large flexibility of language that the Speaker allows, is there? Where? Where is this large flexibility of language?
on the border. I'm going to ask the Honourable Minister if he could just withdraw those words.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw those words. On a day like this, I would say he's all flannel and no axe.
All flannel and no axe? What does that mean?
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, I'm not quite sure what to say after that ridiculous show.
once again shows the erratic, out-of-control government we have over there. His Prime Minister is hiding from questions. His Minister is losing control of his words and his mind. This is a government that is falling to pieces. The Prime Minister has lost control of the border, lost control of immigration, lost control of our finances, and now lost control of his caucus, who are saying that they've been intimidated into voting in favor of his tiny tax trick.
Oh, really? Intimidated into voting
He's
for
lost
it,
control,
huh?
but he's holding on to power.
The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what the member is talking about. On this side of the House, we can have conversations, we can have debates, and we don't get shut down from speaking.
Oh,
like
that's
members
bullshit.
opposite.
What about the caucus meeting not a month ago where everybody wanted Trudeau to leave, but he was not allowing people to speak unless they requested permission to speak?
Mr. Speaker, but Mr. Speaker, let's talk about today. We are moving forward with a GST cut for every single Canadian. And what have we heard from the Leader of the Opposition? He's opposed to tax cuts, Mr. Speaker.
No, he's opposed to this tax cut because it's not an actual tax cut, Karina.
Mr. Speaker, he's all talk, no walk. He's not there for Canadians on this side of the House. We're going to support Canadians and let our members have debates and conversations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
He's an actor, not a real lumberjack, I'm guessing.
Order. Order. The Honourable Member for La Prairie.
I like this translator.
For weeks now, the Bloc Québécois has been asking the Liberals to increase resources. For weeks now, the Bloc Québécois has been asking the Liberals to
he said asking.
to increase resources at the borders. Weeks that they've just come back with the condescension that they're so well known for, that they have a plan. But listen, yesterday the Prime Minister announced to his colleagues, the premiers, that he was going to do what the Bloc has been suggesting for a week now: increase resources at the border.
Oh, so now he's going to increase resources. Now, after he's spoken to everybody, he's like, okay, yeah, now I think I'll put resources at the border.
You know, up to last night, there was no plan and there were no resources at the border. So why do the Liberals always have to wake up at the last possible minute? The Honourable Minister of Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Our colleague knows very well that the relationship with the United States is the most important relationship that we have when it comes to security, economics, and the border. And that's why for many decades now we've worked well and actively with the Americans, and we've done that in recent years, particularly under Mr. Trump's administration. Mr. Trudeau, rather, the Prime Minister, had an excellent...
You can't name people in the House of Commons.
...with the premiers. And it's on the basis of ongoing collaboration that we will deal with the issues raised in that conversation. The Honourable Member for La Prairie. Well, Better late than never, the Liberals have finally realized they need to increase resources at the border, but they're still unable to tell us exactly when, how much, and how. And that's really serious because in just a couple of months, Donald Trump is going to impose tariffs on our entire economy. They only have 2 months left to fix the leaky border, and until last night, they continued to claim they didn't think there was a problem. Now that they've finally seen the light, can they please explain what the details of their plan are?
No, I don't think they can. I don't think they have the capacity to explain what the details of their plan are. So I don't think they know.
The Honorable Minister of Global Affairs. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, and Canadians know, borders are very important, and it's in the interest of the Americans that they be protected. It's the interest of Canadians that they protected. And that's why we are working together on this question. I had a conversation with Premier Legault this morning, and I also spoke with Quebec's International Relations Minister. I've also had the opportunity to speak with a number of influential Republican and Democrat senators in the United States who are all...
Ooh, influential senators. Yes. What did you all discuss? What did you all discuss? Did you all discuss how nothing's going to change?
So that we can work together to make sure that our two countries are protected. The Honourable Member for Rosemont La Petite Patrie. Mr. Speaker, as we see every Christmas when things get going again, the Liberals woke up just the other day and said, hey, we're going to send out $250 checks. But
yeah, in April, when it's tax time and they're going to hike everything up.
The NDP noted that they forgot a lot of people, seniors, persons with disabilities, people who aren't able to work. The Liberals panicked, and so they pushed that measure back. But, you know, the real question here is, are they going to fix their measure so that they can help people who really need it?
No.
The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, today is a great day, Mr. Speaker, because we are going to be voting with the support of the NDP for a tax holiday for all Canadians, including seniors.
Oh. Are we? We are going to be voting with the support of the NDP, huh? So that means that the Bloc and the Conservatives have to stop it.
And we'd like to thank them,
we'll
because
check
on the
and
other
see
side
if
of the
we
House,
can
what we're
find a
seeing
vote.
Is a Grinch who's going to stay a Grinch
Oh,
and who doesn't want to
stop
vote for a
with the
tax
Christmas
holiday.
crap.
So I'd like to thank the NDP because they have a heart like we do for all Canadians, but we're going to continue working with them to make sure that we support all Canadians across the country, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Victoria.
But they're not supporting all Canadians. The Liberals are letting Canadians down. Almost everyone is cutting back. Life is expensive, and that is especially true for students, seniors, and people with disabilities. And the Liberals' plan? Excluding them from the $250 rebate. Even the Liberals'
So I
own
wonder how
MPs
many
think this
NDPs
is
are going to
absurd.
vote for this
And the
thing then.
Conservatives, they want to give tax breaks to billionaires like Galen Weston, but won't give a tax break to everyday Canadians. When the Conservatives show you who they are, believe them. So will the Liberals fix their botched rebate, yes or no?
The Honourable Minister for Tourism and Economic Development.
Why are you talking?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague for her question. And, you know, we introduced for the first time a Canada Disability benefit. You know, my brother has a disability.
Oh, yes. Stand on your brother. Stand on your
First
brother
government
to
that has
make
put in
your
place
point.
direct help for people with a physical disability.
done.
Mr. Speaker, the $250 check that we're going to send out, it's a check that we want to send out to workers. And coming from a party that has always claimed to stand up for workers, it seems a bit ironic that they're against it. That having been said, we think that 1 million seniors who work will have access to that check, and also persons with disabilities who are working, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, and there aren't many of them. Because you're not allowed to earn more than a specific amount of money per month before your disability benefits get clawed back.
Then I have the honourable member from Thornhill.
After doubling the cost of housing, adding an inflationary carbon tax to everything that Canadians buy, and giving us the highest levels of debt in the G7, the Prime Minister's plan is a temporary, tiny 2-month tax trick. But not even small businesses are fooled. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says that only 4% of small businesses expect a sales boost because of the latest last-ditch effort for the Prime Minister to save his own job.
That it's true though. That's like that everybody keeps going, "Oh no, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. This isn't a vote grab. This isn't the Prime Minister trying to save his job." Oh, stop.
If he's so sure about his plan, why doesn't he call a carbon tax election and let Canadians decide?
Exactly.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
With respect, the member ought to look at what the Retail Council of Canada has said on the matter, what Restaurants Canada has said on the matter as well, Mr. Speaker. Small business owners in my community across the country will benefit as a result of this tax cut. It's exactly what it is. A tax cut for workers, a tax cut for families.
I wanna go around town and ask the business owners, like, "Hey, do you feel like you're going to benefit from this GST break?"
Heard the name. They talked about Aaron O'Toole. That's exactly right. He put this initiative on the table in the summer of 21. We're supporting it now. You know who else supported it? The Leader of the Opposition, Mr. Speaker. He reposted a tweet from Aaron O'Toole at that time, but doesn't want to support it now.
No way. I love how these guys love to shout. They love to shout that shit. No way. I can't believe it.
The Honourable Member from Thornhill.
Mr. Speaker, this isn't a tax cut. It's a distraction before
No, it's
a
not.
much, much bigger permanent tax hike. Even his
Exactly.
own liberal...
This isn't a tax cut. This is a tax break. And then then a different tax is going to permanently jump up.
MPs are now opposing this. The member from Hamilton East Stony Creek says that he was threatened with, quote, consequences if he voted against it. Rather than threatening his own MPs, muzzling them like he's accused others of doing, we have a weakened Prime Minister terrified of facing Canadians. So if he's so sure about his own leadership, if he's so sure about his own plan, why won't he allow his own MPs to have a free vote on this one today?
Good question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Communities.
Workers going for groceries, Mr. Speaker, who want to eat out, who want to buy gifts during Christmas, Mr. Speaker. That's who's on our mind.
And notice that all of these things these tax breaks are coming after they give out the child tax benefit, which comes in early in December. So they're doing this as like, look, we've given you your money early. Now we're also giving you a tax break.
Families who
Don't
want to
you
buy
feel
diapers for
loved
their
and
kids, want to buy
happy
kids'
and
clothes.
safe
A young
and
family
secure?
Who's excited about a new child coming into the family, Mr. Speaker. Car seats are expensive. There's a tax savings on that too, Mr. Speaker. The Leader of the Opposition supported this initiative in 2021, but doesn't want to now because it's a Liberal initiative. Will the real Pierre Paul...
Ma'am, that's a statue you're talking to. I'm over here.
They have stand up in this House of Commons.
The Honourable Member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Oh, we've got another muted mic time.
Sorry, I did not hear the Honourable Member, and I'm going to ask members to, if members were able to hold their voices unless recognized by the Speaker, it'd be easier for the Speaker to hear a statement. The Honourable Member apparently had mentioned the name of another Honourable Member. I'll ask the Honourable Member to just rise and
stuff it.
Use the name of...
It's an honest mistake, Mr. Speaker. I withdraw.
The Honourable Member from Calgary, Forest Lawn.
Turning temporary 2-month tax tricks won't save this desperate Prime Minister. After doubling housing costs, doubling the national debt, doubling food bank usage, now he's blaming Canadians for not feeling the vibe of this pricey game.
Yeah, how come you don't feel your vibe session? What's wrong with you? Why don't you feel the vibe session here, guys?
His own Liberal MP from Hamilton East Stony Creek for not supporting this vote-buying scheme. Instead of threatening MPs to take cents off Skittles, call a carbon tax election now.
Oh boy, no, some tax on Skittles. Oh boy.
Leader of the government in the House of Commons.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I know the leader of the opposition knows a thing or two about threatening his own MPs, because if they don't three-word slogans, we never hear from them again. But, Mr. Speaker, what I can say is that on this side of the House, we are excited to deliver a tax cut for Canadians. And for the mom who has to buy diapers and groceries and a car seat, this is meaningful for her, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, sure. It's meaningful for her in the short term, but what's it gonna do in the long term when you hike up the carbon tax to 61 cents a liter?
Who it's not meaningful for is the leader of the opposition, because when it comes to supporting everyday Canadians, he would rather support himself than give them a break over the holidays. That's so disappointing, and Canadians across this country are disappointed in him. Thank you.
Of course they are.
The honourable member from Calgary Forest Lawn.
The only thing they're cutting is moms that have to cut down on the nutritious food that they can give to their kids and sending them into food bank lines. And after this temporary tax trick is done, they're going to jack up the carbon tax on April the 1st, making everything more expensive. And anyone who doesn't believe in this Prime Minister's radical plan, he threatens them with consequences. This inflationary vote-buying scheme will add another $6 billion to this Prime Minister's...
$6 billion to the deficit in just a 2-month window. $6 billion frickin' dollars. Jesus Christ.
Instead of taking chump change off chocolates, call a carbon tax election now so we can axe the tax for good.
The Honourable Government House.
Yeah.
Trudeau's got a 25-second fucking cut. He clipped all the news broadcasts in to make a 25-second video. So there's like 7 or 8 clips of them saying positive things about the tax break.
Yeah.
25-second compilation. There's no more than 25 seconds worth of positive shit about this crap.
No. No, there's not.
No, that's my whole point. I'm laughing. Wow, your legs are real. Yeah, we're gonna have to get you to the hospital.
Yeah, they really hurt.
Yeah, we're gonna get you to the hospital.
I'm getting kind of distracted by how
Keep going.
Leader in the House of Commons.
Mr. Speaker, the...
Huh?
Did you take those pills?
Yeah.
To be honest, they did clear it up a little bit.
We are proposing to remove
Maybe it's the codeine.
is going to be removed on essential items like groceries, like
I haven't taken that in a few days.
children's clothing, like diapers and car seats. Mr. Speaker, I don't know if the honourable colleague has children, but if he did, he would know just how expensive those items are for Canadians. And for Canadians who have to buy these essential items, this tax cut makes a difference, Mr. Speaker. I don't understand why Conservative members of Parliament don't get that, but I hope they change their mind and support this measure because it's a...
Ask the honourable member from South Shore St. Margaret's, please.
No.
I
The
will
fuck
ask
is
again
that?
the honourable member from South Shore St. Margaret's to please not take the floor unless recognized by the speaker.
The honourable member for Bellechasse, Lévis. The Prime Minister is desperately trying to create a distraction, Mr. Speaker. He's trying to trick voters with a 2-month tax trick, but everyone can see through what he's doing. Earlier today, somebody came to my riding office to criticize what the Prime Minister is trying to do. This government is uniting Canadians against them, Mr. Speaker.
He's not wrong. They're being united against this. It's absolutely insane how much this is getting to be like a united front against the Liberals.
Will they give Canadians election so that they can elect common sense Conservatives to give hope back to Canadians? The Honourable Minister of Tourism and Economic Development. Once again, Mr. Speaker, today is a great day, Mr. Speaker.
Of course
Canadians
it is.
across the country.
It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood.
Quebecers are going to have access to a tax holiday. I don't understand how my colleague from across the way doesn't want to support Canadians. Their hidden program, Mr. Speaker, is to make cuts to housing, among other things, Mr. Speaker. It's very clear that they don't want to support Quebecers. They don't want them to have a tax cut at the toughest time of the year, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Etchemins-Lévis. Listen, Conservatives will cut taxes and axe the GST on new homes. That'll mean savings up to $50,000 on the purchase of a new home. And
which is very much more helpful than a tax break for the holidays. We don't want that shit. We don't want it at all. We don't need it. I will be quickly right back. I have to run to the washroom. But while I'm gone, share the stream. And I'll be right back.
Somewhere in the universe there is a beautiful blue planet where wild beasts inhabit next to reasonable men. Oh, ladies and gentlemen know how to make small talks go away. They can divide a piece of land and turn it into savages. Turn it into savages. Somewhere in the universe there is a beautiful blue planet where wild beasts inhabit next to reasonable men. Carnivores eat herbivores and there's a human at the head. When they can divide a piece of meat they turn it into savages. Turn it into savages.
Okay. Let's get back to this question period craziness.
And it'll create 30,000 new housing starts, Mr. Speaker. That's a real idea to bring a long-term solution to problems created by this government. Canadians are smart. They can see what's going on. They're going to
Yes,
pay the
we
price
are
for this
smart.
government.
We
That's
do
why we
see
need
what's
elections
going on.
now, Mr. Speaker.
Order. Je vais demander
I will ask the leader of the official opposition, please, to sit down.
Oh.
The Honourable Minister of Housing, Infrastructure and Community.
Why does Polyev have to sit down?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honestly, it's difficult to accept that question from the Conservative Party because in her province, in Quebec, we have signed an agreement with the province to build over 8,000 new affordable housing units.
Of course, 8,000 affordable housing units. That means 8,000 ghettos.
With a major investment with $1.8 billion. That's a successful agreement that's in place now. The Conservative Party's position is to cut that agreement, to cut this program that's going to build affordable housing. That's not acceptable, Mr. Speaker. It's not an acceptable position, Mr. Speaker. The Honourable Member for Shefford. The government tabled its bill on the GST and set aside the $250 checks that they promised to just about everyone except for seniors and except for those who are the most vulnerable. They should take this opportunity to take a step back and seriously ask themselves what their priorities are. This government is ready to spend $6 billion to buy votes, but they're refusing to improve
$6 billion to buy votes. He's not wrong. It is a $6 billion vote buy. That's absolutely what it is. It's
for 65 to 74-year-old seniors. That would fix the injustice that they're suffering from right now, and it would cost 2 times less than this gift.
Yep.
Will they give royal sanction to C319 instead of trying to buy votes?
No, they want to buy
Honourable
votes.
Minister of Tourism and Economic Development for the Regions. Mr. Speaker, all I'm seeing today is, it's not boat buying. I want to make sure that Quebecers and Canadians have the opportunity to buy essential products during the holiday season. What I don't understand is how the Bloc Québécois can't support a measure that's going to directly help
It's
not only
not
all
going
Quebecers,
to directly
but also
help you
seniors.
insane people.
Mr. Speaker, today I got an email from a constituent saying the Bloc just lost my vote because I'm insulted by the way that they are blackmailing us.
No, you didn't. You did not get an email from a constituent that said that. I call shenanigans on that.
The member for Shefford. Now, this is, becoming a habit for this government, forgetting seniors. They're saying, look, we've done enough for them, so nothing else, too bad. But there are seniors who won't even be able to benefit from the GST holiday because all of their income is going to cover their basic needs. The government could act, if they're able to give $250 to just about everyone, just to show how generous they are, well, then they'd be able
just
to
out
spend
of the
$6
kindness
billion.
of their hearts.
And if they're able to spend $6 billion, to buy votes, well, they could invest $3 billion in OAS instead of giving money to lots of people who don't need it. Why not simply improve OAS?
Because that would make sense. And they don't want to do anything that would be, sensible. Because, again, that would make sense.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Where was the Bloc when we increased pensions?
Seniors have had enough time to install the 65-year-old life cap. Yeah, it's getting there.
For seniors over 75. They voted against it. Where was the Bloc when we increased the guaranteed income supplement by 10%? And, that's, for the most vulnerable seniors. Where were they for the Canada Dental Program? They voted against seniors in all those cases, Mr. Speaker.
Seniors need braces.
The Bloc? Well, they simply voted against all those measures. The Honourable Member for Shefford. Well, it's pretty clear what Liberal values are. Giving money to a couple that makes $300,000 a year, but giving nothing to seniors. They think that that is fair.
Yes, they do.
The Liberals said the Conservatives are marking political points by having no sense of social justice and no solidarity for those who are having a hard time making ends meet. So we should do the same thing. It must be working. If it were,
it must be working. See, this is how I love listening to this, because The Bloc Québécois is going to vote with the Conservatives against this bill, but they're still shitting on the Conservatives.
The government needs to get its values straight. On the one hand, there's their $250 check that no party here agrees with, and on the other side, there's C-319, which would improve pensions for seniors, and all parties agree that it should be passed. Why aren't they making the right choice? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Thanks, Mr. Speaker. I would invite the Bloc Québécois to go speak to their constituents, to look them in the eyes, and, you know, every time they say that they want to increase pensions for seniors,
we could go the whole planet retired idea, fully funded, mass facilities. That would mass facilities that would provide exercise for them while generating electricity at the same time. That's great.
Aged 64 to 75. But they should explain why they voted against all the measures for seniors in Quebec that we put in place. They didn't want the improved GIS. They didn't want the dental plan. They didn't want anything for seniors, Mr. Speaker. So they're saying one thing on the one hand, and they should say the same thing on the other hand.
The honourable member for Mission Matsky Fraser Canyon.
Mr. Speaker, because the NDP Liberals are trying to fool Canadians with a 2-month tax trick, small businesses are being forced and are scrambling to reprogram their point-of-sales machines and to find
that's
the
what
time
I
and
was
money
wondering. How are POS systems being reprogrammed and then reprogrammed after this
pay
is
for
done?
these changes? It is a
And then who's
shame
gonna
the
pay
Minister
for
of
that?
Small Business knew and did not care that this tax trick would hurt the very businesses she purports to help. We all know an election is coming. Can we simply stop with the desperation and call for a carbon tax election today?
The Honourable Minister for Small Business.
Mr. Speaker, the only thing that member and his party can offer small businesses are slogans on repeat, cuts to programs that are essential.
I don't hear any slogans. Like, yes, 2-month tax trick. Oh no, an alliteration. God help us.
And cuts. So, Mr. Speaker, and cuts. So, Mr. Speaker, our tax break is not just good for small businesses, it's good for their customers. This tax break isn't just helping families, it's also supporting the entire community in boosting their neighborhood independent grocery stores, restaurants, retailers, and small businesses that power our local economy. CRA has provided further guidance on this today. It will help support small businesses, and small businesses can call the CRA hotline to get further support.
Oh, the hotline for CRA, which is always like 3-4 hours deep in the queue, right? That hotline, yeah, that'll be helpful.
The honourable member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, 40% of Canada's economy is tied to our relationship and trade with the U.S. But after 9 years, we have no softwood lumber deal. And what's happened? Tariffs have doubled, and they're set to double again if we have a first increase but a second if Trump gets his way and we don't fix the border. After 9 years, Mr. Speaker, we have lost 90,000 jobs in softwood lumber, 40,000 each in Ontario, Quebec alone.
That's
the last Prime Minister
jobs
solved
a
this in
year.
79 days. It's been 3,311 days. Where's the plan for softwood lumber?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we will always stand up for forestry workers and our lumber industry.
Where?
We stood up for Canada when the U.S. imposed aluminum and steel tariffs on us.
Again, where?
They urged us to back down and...
You say things like we were there for Canada, we stood up for Canada when the United States imposed tariffs to get where?
Capitulate. When we renegotiated NAFTA back in 2018, we stood strong and protected Canada's economy, while the Conservatives asked us to capitulate. We have a proven track record when it comes to negotiating, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to protect Canadian workers and Canadian industry. Thank you.
The honourable member for Bay of Quinte.
Mr. Speaker, there's no Team Canada when the plan is to pile on taxes, make energy and production more expensive, and sideline our Canadian industry on the global stage. What kind
not
of team
wrong.
has no game plan after 9 years, has lost 90,000 softwood lumber jobs, got kicked out of Kuzma negotiations, and sat on the sidelines when Mexico overcame Canada for the USA's #1 trading partner? But here's a Canada first plan.
That I didn't know that. That Canada or that Mexico became the US's #1 trading partner.
Axe the tax, scrap the cap on oil and gas production, and fix softwood lumber. Why doesn't the Prime Minister use that common sense Canada first plan?
Because you guys came up with it, that's why.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister for International Trade.
Mr. Speaker, the U.S. is a very important partner to our economy and to our relationships with the rest of the world. When you talk about trade, we have $1.3 trillion of trade last year with the U.S., which is a record since we renegotiated NAFTA in 2018. Mr. Speaker, we will continue to be at the table with a Team Canada approach as we continue to protect Canadian businesses and workers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Oh my God.
I ask the honourable member from Fort McMurray Cold Lake to please not take the floor unless recognized by the Speaker. The honourable member for Nunavut.
3 First Nations children have died since January due to this government's non-compliance with Jordan's Principle. The Liberals are actively fighting against the Human Rights Tribunal's orders and allowing First Nations children to die while in care.
Oh, these are foster children. I see. Yeah, but they allowed Mexico to become the chief entry point for cheap-ass Chinese products violating NAFTA. Well, how fucking lovely
There
is
are over
that?
40,000 Jordan's Principle requests in the backlog. Liberals are not even trying to fix this. When will the Liberals stop fighting First Nations children and uphold First Nations rights to care?
Never. They literally just got rid of sterilizing Native women in 2018.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, we care deeply about First Nations children. Jordan's Principle ensures that First Nations children can access the care they need when they need it, regardless of where they live. Since 2016, the ISC has funded approximately $7.8 million products, services, and supports for First Nations children. The number of requests has grown.
I'm sorry to sound like an insensitive prick.
Yeah.
3 kids in a year isn't that bad.
No.
And also the fact that, what is the tally? I just looked, and StatsCan says that 3 kids die a day in Ontario hospitals.
Wow.
Okay. So that's just that. Now, again, you're like, oh, wow. You know how I look at that? Well, 6,000 people die a day from XYZ. Everybody dies. That's all it is.
True.
And, okay, were they in the foster system? Again, remember, the #1 way that all this stuff has gone through is them taking this and going, 3 children have died in care of foster families. How did they die? They don't say anything. They don't say they got sick with XYZ. They don't say the kid fell off a cliff.
Yeah.
Right? I just tried looking. I can't find anything on the 3 kids themselves. So how do we even know those stats are real?
Right.
So again, we've experienced this and we've seen numbers fudge. We saw it with the Chiefs versus the OPP back in the 90s. But oh man, you want to see Indigenous affairs problems? Go back to the 90s. Ontario, the OPP versus Cayuga.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sucks. But yeah. By the way, that one guy that was talking from Bay of Quinte, that's a conservative.
Yeah.
And that's your friend's MP, Ryan Wilson.
Ah.
Exponentially over the years, and we're increasing funding so ISC can meet the demand. All governments need to do their part to keep First Nations children safe, healthy, and supported.
The Honourable Member for Skeena-Bulkley Valley.
Here's the latest horrifying story involving the airline's mistreatment of people with disabilities. Air Canada failed to secure.
Why do people all of a sudden give a fuck about disabled people? With like airlines and rebate checks and shit. What What disabilities, like what people with disabilities are in your ears whining at you?
She fell out and was left bleeding and bruised. We're talking about a failure to protect people's safety and dignity. We're talking about a failure to uphold their basic human rights, and yet, despite dozens of stories like these, people with disabilities have seen zero action from this government. Either these Liberals don't think things in the air sector have gotten bad enough yet to act, or they simply don't care. Which one is it?
Here.
Good question.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Transport.
I need to stand up.
Speaker, and I thank the member for the question. Mr. Speaker, this government takes accessibility very seriously.
No, you don't.
Ensuring that all passengers are treated with dignity. In May, for example, we had a summit that listened and learned from those that have accessibility issues, and of course recommendations came out of those meetings to ensure that we work with the airlines.
Yes,
And quite frankly,
recommendations
Mr.
came
Speaker,
out of an
demand
accessibility
that they
meeting,
address the
and none
issues
of you are
as
going
the
to do
member has
anything
brought
with
forward.
them.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Humber Valley Black Creek.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, our government made an exciting announcement.
Oh, blah, blah, blah.
Holiday season. Would the minister share?
The Honourable Member for Humber River Black Creek can start from the top, please.
Mr. Speaker, I continue to hear a lot of noise from the members opposite about affordability, but no real solutions. Last week, the government made an exciting announcement to support Canadians over this holiday season. Would the minister share more details about our government's plan to put more
Again,
money
you
in
should
the
not
pockets
be
of
allowed to
Canadians?
ask questions if you're a
The
Liberal.
Honourable Minister for Natural Resources.
If you're a sitting MP in the House of, if you're a part of the government, shouldn't be allowed to ask questions in question
I want to thank
period.
the Honourable Member for the question. We know that Canadians need more support these days, and that is why we introduced the Canada Child Benefit, lifting hundreds of thousands of Canadian children out of poverty. We cut childcare costs by 50% to help families, and we cut taxes for small business. And now we are giving all Canadians a tax break. We're eliminating the GST on essential goods for 2 months to support Canadians through the holidays. This means groceries, this means children's clothes, and more will be tax-free, so Canadians will have more money in their pockets. Conservatives oppose this just as they want to cut all kinds of supports for Canadians. While they play political games, we are working for Canadians.
Play political games. Oh. Please. Please. I think we've gotten the point. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do that. Let's see here.
In the slipstream, what's a slipstream? That's when you're where? Behind the other car, right? And but reduces the boost charge that you get. Do you know what that means? So you know how when you're in the slipstream, you're
All right, let's take a look at our last video. She thought he was broke, but he was just a bum. Oh, Ava and Preach, what have you guys got? What silliness have you guys discovered?
I was just cracking up because he doesn't follow me on none of my social media accounts. So, and
Remember her? The girl, the broke girl dating the broke guy?
I'm dating a broke guy. He does what he can when he can.
Oh, this
but
chick.
He doesn't do enough.
Okay, so the one
I remember this chick. They covered her in a video that I watched on stream a couple weeks back. She was mad that her boyfriend doesn't earn as much as
we saw.
she does.
Supposedly they broke up, and the video was part of the reason why.
Well, I'm so
let's see what happened.
shocked.
Did he ever pay?
I'm so shocked that the video that she made shitting all over him for being broke is part of why they broke up.
For dates. At first, we would just chill in his house. That was how we spent the first 6 months, and we just spoke, just stayed at his house pretty much. I don't really remember what we ate the first 6 months. Oh, I would come over after I have already had dinner. So we would do like a late night type of thing. And it was cool with me because I'm low maintenance, like stay by myself.
No, you're not. No, you're not low. Anybody who actually says the words "I'm low maintenance," they're not low maintenance.
And then I just
No.
What?
She's like, I'm low maintenance. You can't say that I'm low maintenance, but oh my God, it's so boring. He's broke. And make a whole video out of it. Me taking care of that in my house is high maintenance. Yeah, because it's in my head right now. You probably think you're low maintenance, but you made a whole ass video while I was dating you.
Oh, they still haven't voted yet.
I got to deal with that shit now. You fucking clogged toilet.
Outside
You fucking clogged toilet.
video.
That's awesome.
I think what she's saying was pretty low
That
maintenance.
is a
Like, they're not
great
going out on
insult.
dates much. They're not even having dinner together. That's low maintenance.
I understand what you're saying, but if you're gonna go out of your way to make a video, that's now considered high maintenance. You make one. I'm sorry. You make one. Yeah, you make one video about me.
Yeah, that's that. You being extra.
You make a video about how broke your boyfriend is. That's pretty high maintenance to me. In my humble opinion.
It's a lapse in judgment. That doesn't make you automatically high.
Okay.
Most women I know would not accept going to a guy's place every time after dinner, not even eating together, and then be called a hype maintenance. That's me. She's definitely the exception to the rule.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But then after the 6 months, I did kind of like want to go outside because I think like the temperature changed, like it got to kind of like spring, summer. So I wanted to go outside and enjoy. So then after that, because he didn't really make a move to take me out, I was like, you know what? I'm going to plan some stuff for us and we're just going to go do something.
So you took it into your head to plan something and you decided that it was going to cost a lot of money because I already watched the first video.
I mean, I don't care how broke somebody is. If you guys are just inside for 6 months and he's never taking you out, he never doing nothing, he don't really like you like that.
Yeah.
It don't cost much to go do activities. There's plenty of them things you can do on a budget. Dude just didn't want to put any effort. Unless you said you never wanted to go out, that dude just didn't like you that much. Poverty is not a reason for why you guys were staying inside all the time.
No.
That's just somebody who's making the minimal effort. He's not even having dinner with you. There's plenty of stuff that you guys can cook at home. Like, he's obviously eating, right? You guys are obviously eating. Why didn't y'all cook together?
Yeah. Dude, just cook a meal together. Have a fun time. Like, grab a bottle of wine and prepare the meal and eat it together. Like, that's a fun thing to do.
The fact that you always came by after dinner, I don't even know if I call that low maintenance. I just think like, yeah, you gotta have some standards. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you guys break up? Yes, we broke up. Did he see the video? Yes, he saw the video. What does he think about it? He didn't really have much to say because I helped a lot. I think after maybe like 6 months that we started kind of going out, maybe 2 months later, something happened with his.
I'm simple and don't need to be impressed. I'm fine with Taco Bell. Good dates. Let's go fishing. Don't need to go anywhere. You got a dog. I'm fine with hanging out at your place.
Job, and
exactly.
I paid his mortgage for him a few times. I paid the electricity bill a few times. During one occasion, he went away for work and he still owed me the money.
So, okay, but he went away for work. It's not like he went away on vacation. What was it, a trip that he had to go on? Did he get reimbursed for the trip? Like, you can't get mad at somebody for having to go on a work trip if, like, that's mandatory.
So during this time that he was away from work, he would go to strip clubs a lot.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He still owed me the money. So my whole thing is like, if you're away right now and you're working, why not just start to pay me back some? Like, why not even like just $200 a month or something, or $100 a month? Like, why just like continue to go to strip clubs, just continue to have fun? Like the sometimes like the money he did have, it just was never like towards me.
I think your mistake was just how you titled it. Because it's not about him being poor.
No!
You know, the mistake that you...
Happy Thanksgiving!
You made it about his financial situation. That's not the problem. The problem is he's irresponsible and he's not charitable.
He's
and
inconsiderate.
he's selfish.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are the problems. It's nothing to do with poverty because
No.
you could be poor and still have a heart of gold where you give back in little increments. The dude.
Exactly. This guy is just a jerk. There's nothing to do with him being broke or any of that. Hello?
Dude wasn't
There
poor in
we
that
go.
sense because he had time to go spend money in the strip club instead of paying you back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's not a red flag. That is a death sentence to me.
Yeah.
You gonna take my money, saying you gonna pay me back. You know we're not doing the best, and you in the strip club spending money. You're spitting in my face.
Yes.
You're spitting.
That is definitely spitting in the face. That is not just a bad look. That is fuck you. I'm not paying you back. I'm just going to spend my money however I want. Like I was going to defend him because work trips are mandatory, right? But no, if you're going to go to the strip club and you owe somebody money.
I gave something to you and you spat on my hand after you took it out of my hand.
That's what the problem is.
And you accepted that. So first you got to take accountability for enduring that. Some people are going to say that's a great strength. Not to me. You're a doormat. If you need a bunch of these different instances for someone to spit in your face before you walk away, somewhere in there's a lack of self-respect that you got to own. That's crazy. Yes. I don't even accept that from friends. From a partner who's supposed to be my bedrock, for her to spit in my hand, I could never.
No, if you're in a relationship and you've paid mortgage and you've helped out financially, and then this person goes and does things like go to the strip club and doesn't pay you back, that's a completely
a friend who
different
did that to me way back, and to this day it's one of the things that pisses me off the most. I gave to him, he promised me back in a certain time. It was what little money I had, and then I seen this dude partying it up, spending money in the club. I never forgave him, never spoke to him again. But that's one of them things where it's like, bro, I did this for you with my hard-earned money.
Yeah.
And that's how you repay me? I'm a fool, but you never gonna get me again. But you guys are out here letting these people do this to you on a regular basis. It's unacceptable. And I have to be super stern about that. Not once or twice. The bitch is in the fucking strip club throwing that money at other women, which is another level of disrespect.
That is very disrespectful. That is a very disrespectful thing to do. If you owe your partner money and then you're going into the strip club, that is super disrespectful.
Absolutely not. It's not about poverty. Even at my poorest, I paid back every person who lent me money. I forsake certain experiences so I could pay that back, because how can I go out and enjoy all these luxuries when I have debt just banging on my front door? So no, what you have is somebody who's incredibly selfish, and he should be caring about you. This is supposed to be your potential life partner, and they out here spending money on other women. They see you struggling. Well, you gonna fix that shit. They're not saying, how can I help? That's not a team player.
No.
Absolutely not.
No, that is definitely a terrible partner. And it's a good thing they broke up. She shouldn't have made the first video though. But he's definitely a piece of shit for doing what he was doing.
And I hate that we always demonize. It's not about poverty. Just because you're struggling doesn't mean you can't be creative. Just because you're struggling doesn't mean you can't be giving and caring in a lot of ways. You could show up. If you lacking in one area, you compensate. You ain't got a big dick, eat the bitch out. 3-4 times. You learn different skills. You don't just sit there with your little dick and be like, well, I came where you at, man. You work. So to me, it's just crazy that people are making it about poverty. It's nothing to do with that. No. And I feel for her, right? Because she really was trying to give, but you also have to have some self-respect. You can never endure that much. And that's man or woman. She coming in with a lot of debt. Yo, that's a red flag. Sorry. She got a huge amount of debt. You guys meet a woman, you need to see how her financial situation is, because that's going to be your debt. 2 years.
Yeah.
Are we about to talk about Surfshark?
You know, that was a VPN changer. You have a who's out the block with that. Multiple different platforms.
You got the go to best.com price. It's the holidays. A lot of people come for you and fix all that.
After like 3-4 months of that, he got a job again and everything was good for him again, but he never gave me back the money. And I was okay with that because it is what it is. Like, if we're going to be together forever, what's mine is his. And if I have it, I can do it.
She was okay with that, chucking all that money. I guess you're more than that okay with that.
Okay, but you understand that people are okay with.
She let it, like, that's the weird thing, that she was okay with it. I don't. What the heck is going on outside?
It's going to be a reciprocal relationship, right?
But she understood that she was not getting back the money, so she was okay with that because, you know, what mine is yours, what's yours is mine.
Right. But what's mine is yours, and what's yours is yours.
Yeah.
That's when people start to feel differently about
Sure,
it. Right? That's high maintenance to you?
It's not the fact that it's high maintenance. I'm not, I don't have a problem with what she did and everything and stuff. My big problem is the video. That's all I have. You have an issue with someone, you make a video out of it out there, you still with the person. To me, that's crazy. It's fuck.
You either air that issue out with your person, or you shut up about it. You don't make a video airing your grievance about, oh, he's so broke, blah blah blah, and then are surprised when they break up with you.
Crazy. You think I'm broke? That's one thing. I'm right here in this relationship with that person.
Yeah.
You go out there, make a video out of it. Me out there, I'm there. He didn't have something to say about it. That's cool. It could never be me. I have a problem with the video itself. You did all this wonderful thing about paying a mortgage, paying this, paying that. That's great. Yeah. But I think that's what a relationship is. Sometimes you bring your 100%, I bring my 100%, so that whenever I fall back or she fall back, you can take on or I could take on. He doesn't look like the kind of guy that was always gonna take on. No. Concur. But your decision to that is not to leave. It's to fucking make a video about it.
Agreed. That's the crazy part to me, is why would, instead of either talking about it or leaving because it's a new relationship, why would you make a video about it? That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't care about the relationship and how the dynamics in the relationship was. That's none of my business. Even if it's not even in you're broadcasting it over the web. I have a problem with, we're in a relationship, I'm with a girl, and you go talk to all your little friend them, but you're not talking to me about shit. That's crazy. So when we meet, these bitches got a whole lot to say about me and everything and stuff because you've been talking to them. Like I've said this on here before. Stop talking about your significant other to other motherfucking people. Talk to them.
But sometimes talking to them doesn't work. You know what I mean? Sometimes, so sometimes the option isn't just leave or stay. Sometimes you try to talk to the person, you try to encourage them to do things, they don't. And then instead of leaving, which should be the decision people make, people look towards their friend groups, or they look towards other people, or sometimes even the internet because they want that adulation.
That's true. It is true. Even if you look to your friends, sometimes it's for the adulation and for the commiseration.
I don't think it's that crazy anymore because we live in the social media age where everyone broadcasts every aspect of their life. I agree with you. I don't like it. I'm not
saying it's crazy. I'm saying I don't like it.
But I personally think the crazier part of this is having somebody who's super down for you, who paying your fucking mortgage, and you not down for them like that. According to her, she could be lying, she could be making everything up. So I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? That's the crazier part to me than her broadcasting this out of frustration in a relationship that she's. Think about it. She's put thousands of dollars into this thing. She's been paying for the dates. She's been bending over backwards. And then she goes online to talk about it. Is it that crazy someone who's that invested, who does not want to leave, goes to do something stupid like talk about it on the internet?
I still think it's crazy to talk about it on the internet. I would, maybe I could see talking to a friend, but not going to the internet about it.
Maybe I'm just wondering why is almost all the focus on the fact that she's recording it and none of the thoughts so that she's discussing. Like the fact that for 6 months the motherfucker never took her out and only made her see her after dinner. Like that's horrible, right? Yeah. You know, the fact that she paying his bills and doing all this other stuff. To me, I guess that's the only question I'm asking. That's it.
Good question. Valid question.
After 3-4 months of that, he got every time we went to do something, I drove my car, so I was the one that had to pay for gas. And one of the things that towards the end that happened that really pissed me off, I was driving my car and he was in it, and then somebody hit me from the back by accident and it dented my car. I realized kind of in that moment that it wasn't a us thing because he wasn't really you know, like trying to help me deal with it. It was kind of like, oh, when are you going to deal with it? So you.
So yeah, he just has no capacity to be in a caring relationship. Not like, oh, are you okay? Do you need help with dealing with the car? It's, oh, when are you just gonna
You're gonna drive around with a messed up bumper, like, you know. And I was kind of like, bro, like, cut me some slack. I'm working, I'm busy. Like, I don't know, it was just like little things that at some point I just realized that I can continue helping or I can leave. And I'm the type of person where if you date me, I will give you a time frame. Like, that's a big one. I will give you a time frame. And during this time frame, I'm not giving. Like, I am very giving. I'm very loyal. I will show you unconditional love. But after the time frame is up, if you're not necessarily doing better or just like making some type of effort to do better, I don't think I could stay. But like I said, like,
that's fair. But why do we need to make a video about it? Do you know what I mean?
He has a great personality. He's gonna be fine.
Does he?
Sorry. This is something funny about some guy scamming you and you keep saying he has a great personality.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. He has a great personality, even though I just shot all over him for
she's saying
this
that is
whole
because
time.
everybody came down on her saying, yo, you fucking, even us, even me. I went like, yo, you fucked him. Yo, that's crazy. I was like, yo, I'm not, you crazy for doing this video. That's crazy. So she's saying that, I feel like she's saying that like, yo, he's going to be good. He has a great personality. He's going to find someone else. I think that's the way that she's framing it, because like, you're coming down on me like I did him some dirty. He going to be good. With that perspective, I understand it. It's just that the title of the video, I went out with a broke guy. I'm going out with a broke guy. It's just like, I think I'm going out with an inconsiderate guy.
Yeah. I would say more I'm going out with an inconsiderate guy than I'm going out with a broke guy, and I still wouldn't have made that video. That's just me. I still wouldn't have made that video at all. Okay, let's take a look at the one last thing here. If Twitter behaves. Let's see if Twitter's gonna behave. Okay, let's.
On groceries for 2 months and on some everyday items that add up so quickly. Government doesn't set the price of things at the store, but we can give Canadians a break. That's what we're going to do. Canadians need a break, so that's what we're going to do.
Canadians are about to get a 2-month tax break.
The Trudeau government is giving back this holiday season in the
God.
form of a tax break.
That includes temporary relief from the federal sales tax on selected items.
We're getting rid of GST, HST on groceries for 2 months and on some everyday items that add up so quickly. Government doesn't set the price of things at the store, but we can give Canadians a break.
Jesus
That's what we're going to do.
Christ. That is so freaking. Here's my votes. Buy my votes. Please, please, please. Please, please, please buy my votes. Let's see if they're voting. Let's see if they're voting at all. There are 2 things live right now. Let's see what's going on. House of Commons proceedings. That's what we want, I think.
This country's economy. Something that this government recognizes, something that parties in this House who will support this measure. I just heard my colleague from the Green Party say that he's on side.
I think this is the.
I know that NDP members have said that they're on side with this. But I
Oh,
wonder
this
where
is
the
about, yep,
Conservatives
this
are
is
on
about
this.
the tax break
The party
right here.
so-called of entrepreneurship, of free enterprise. I want them to go back and actually look at what Restaurants Canada has said, who've come out in a very clear statement and said that not supporting a measure like this would be irresponsible. Because a measure like this isn't just good for families, as I said, and for individuals and for businesses. It also acts as an economic stimulus during challenging times. We've weathered this storm, I think, quite well, Madam Speaker. We still see historically, or at least relatively low, unemployment rates in this country, just in excess of 6%.
So therefore,
but that has
we
come
should
down
take
significantly
a break
in
on
the
the
past few years,
GST
Madam
before
Speaker.
we hike up
We see a
the
AAA
carbon
credit
tax.
rating. We see the lowest debt and deficit in the entire G7. And Canada, according to the International Monetary Fund, and I know Conservative friends are not in the habit of quoting what they call elite organizations, but I think the views of the IMF should be taken seriously. We are poised to lead economic growth in the coming years in the G7. So those economic fundamentals are quite strong. What that means, though, Madam Speaker, is that it puts those in the middle class and those with a lower income on a good footing for a good future, but they need this support right now in the immediate. And that's why this government is seized with this kind of a vision. We're going to continue to be there for Canadians every step of the way, for my constituents in London and for constituents across the country. I just hope they still have some time. I just hope that Conservatives reverse their decision on this. Stand up for a responsible vision, and this policy is responsible. Stand up for the idea that you got to be on the sides of people, have their back during tough times. That's exactly what we're going to continue to do. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Rivière-des-Midi. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good evening. I'm starting to get a little bit tired here. Does my colleague really think, truly think, that a family that does not have the means to buy a $100 meal with the tax break can actually pay a meal that's worth $95? Thank you, Madam Speaker.
That's a good question.
Merci, Madame la Présidente.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I think that this is a very responsible policy. It is an approach that will help the middle class in very difficult times. And I think that perhaps my colleague has mentioned the middle class a number of times here in this House, but the Conservatives aren't there.
We have
We're
dying
hearing the Liberal member
headphones.
wax eloquent about how compassionate they are towards the people of Canada, but I'd like to compare what the Conservatives are offering as in a permanent cut, elimination of the carbon tax, which makes everything more expensive, as well as cutting the GST for new home purchases, which will add 30,000 jobs and make life much more expensive for people entering the market. This plan is 2 months long, and it comes right before they raise the taxes on many other things, and including the carbon tax. Does the member want to compare his plan with our plan? Thank you.
Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, does the member actually think that I wouldn't know about his voting record, not just in this House of Commons, but during his time when he was a member of the Legislative Assembly in British Columbia? He supported pricing carbon at that time, Madam Speaker. He was in the government of Gordon Campbell and stood in that legislature and championed the idea of carbon pricing. And here tonight he offers a different perspective. And now I see him, he's smiling. He knows he's been caught, Madam Speaker. He knows that. On top of that, he talks about their big, bold idea to cut GST from the purchase price of homes. How would they pay for that? By getting rid of the Housing Accelerator Fund that's going to be responsible for building homes across the country, including in 68 Conservative-held constituencies. They would cancel that program to the detriment of this country and their constituents. They're not serious.
Keeps talking.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Nunavut.
Not you.
Yeah. The
There's
NDP had asked as well for the GST to be removed from home heating, and I wonder if the member can explain to this House why the Liberals didn't listen to us to help make sure that this tax relief could extend to people who have to pay a higher cost of home heating.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Madam Speaker, first of all, every time that member engages in debate, she offers a perspective that is important. I think that if we look at the long list of items that would be applicable, would be eligible for the GST, HST cut, we see in fact, a very long list there, a list that would benefit Canadians across the country. We're talking about everyday essentials there. I would be very happy to speak with that member more on that particular idea, but I think we have something here. It's a 2-month holiday here, essentially, Madam Speaker, something that will really go a long way to helping constituents, as I said, in my riding back home in London, but in her constituency as well, particularly low-income Canadians that she's always championed in this House.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint Louis.
Well, the member is a very erudite colleague, and I turn to him for answers. Members on the other side are saying that this policy is inflationary, yet in 2008, the Harper government reduced the GST by 1% on everything. In other words, everything that's in a basket of goods that is used to calculate the CPI, whereas we're just taking some GST off a very narrowly focused basket of goods for a temporary period of time, which is a slow point in the retail cycle. How is it that reduction of GST wasn't inflationary, but this one is? In both cases, there were government deficits.
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
The member has been a mentor, in fact, to many of us on the Liberal side, the caucus chair when I was first elected, and he's very kind to offer those comments. Now, what I will say to him, though, is that I cannot possibly explain Conservative contradictions. I cannot do that. I can do many things, Madam Speaker. I cannot do that. But Doug Ford champions this policy, Madam Speaker. It's not inflationary at all.
Resuming debate, the Honourable Member for Perth Wellington.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'll begin by saying that I'll be splitting my time with the hard-working, common-sense Conservative member for Fundy Royal. Madam Speaker, it's always an honour to rise in this House to address the House, but unfortunately I do so this evening without optimism and without enthusiasm. Instead, I am forced to rise with disappointment and frustration with the state of this House of Commons. In the past 24 hours, we have seen a tired, weak, and desperate Liberal government use closure and programming motions in order to avoid accountability for their scandals and to attempt to distract Canadians with their temporary 2-month tax trick. Now, Madam Speaker, what's interesting about motion number 43 is that it is a guillotine motion that has itself been guillotined by a guillotine motion. This is a vote, a motion that would introduce closure on a motion that is about closure and stopping debate. So here we are this evening debating motion number 43. Now, I'd want to say that this bill was actually written on the back of a cocktail.
How's that, CW?
But I think it's more appropriately, it seems that this bill was written on an Etch-a-Sketch, which isn't applicable to this bill. But they've taken it and they've shaken it and they've changed it a few times to try to get the NDP on board, and no one exactly knows what the next shake will do when they shake the Etch-a-Sketch once again. But the leader of the Liberal government in the House of Commons has shut down debate on not one, but 2 matters of privilege today so they can force through their temporary, short-sighted tax trick legislation. But the problem is, Madam Speaker, is that the Liberals are afraid of the Canadian people. They know that their parliamentary calendar is slipping away, and that their days that they have left bringing legislation before this House of Commons are limited. And they know that a strong, common-sense Conservative government is on the horizon. And after a common-sense Conservative Party takes power after a carbon tax election, we will be able to deliver for the hard-working Canadians that we have the honour of representing. But, Madam Speaker, we know that the Liberal government has allowed their entire legislative agenda to be paralysed. And why is this House paralysed from all other pieces of legislation? It's because they violated an order of the House of Commons. They violated the order of the House on June 10th, wherein they were required to table documents with this
Did he
House,
just say there's
with the
an
clerk,
Etch-a-Sketch
so they can be
bill?
turned over to the Royal
I
Canadian Mounted
don't know.
Police.
Perhaps.
Which begs the question, what is so damning in those documents that the Liberals would shut down Parliament for 2 months to prevent the Mounties from getting those documents? So what does this programming motion here today actually do? Well, first of all, it shuts down debate on this piece of legislation. In this House, there are 338 seats. Yet the honourable members who sit in those seats will be prevented, all but 5, from debating this piece of legislation.
Oh, wow.
Billions of dollars will not be debated in this House because of this programming motion. Even more egregious, this Liberal programming motion means that this temporary tax trick bill will skip altogether the committee process, meaning that it will not go to the Finance Committee to hear from experts. It will not go to the Finance Committee to hear from Canadians who will be affected. It will not go to the Finance Committee to hear from small businesses and small business workers who will be affected. There will not be an opportunity to make amendments to this piece of legislation. And what's more,
that's not good.
No sensible legislative body ought to agree to this process outside of an emergency situation. But Madam Speaker, let's be clear. Plummeting Liberal poll numbers may seem like an emergency to this Liberal government, but it's not an emergency for the Canadian people that we have the great honour of representing. And if you read this programming motion, this guillotine motion, it has the wording be deemed requested, be deemed referred, be deemed considered, be deemed reported, be deemed concurred, be deemed read a third time and passed. It is as lazy as it is reckless. This programming motion is not democratic, and in fact, it is an affront to transparency and to Canadian democracy. So why is the Liberal government doing this? Why would they bring forward this temporary tax trick at this time? Because it's a distraction. It's a distraction from the other scandals that they are involved in. It's a distraction from the ArriveCan scandal, where 2 guys in a basement were paid millions of dollars for no actual IT work. It's a distraction from the $400 million Liberal Green Slush Fund, which is currently also under consideration in this House as a matter of privilege. It's a distraction from the ever-evolving scandal around the disgraced former Minister of Employment, the member for Edmonton Centre, who falsely claimed Indigenous status in order to gain contracts from this Liberal government, which has also led to its own question of privilege. This conduct, the ethical lapses of this Liberal government are outright disgraceful. And finally, last week, after weeks of opposition members demanding action, the member from Edmonton Centre finally stepped down as a member of the Liberal cabinet. But Madam Speaker, I can assure you that the good people of Edmonton Centre are watching, and I know that after the next election they will remove him as the Member of Parliament for that riding, so that common sense Conservative member can represent those fine people.
When is the vote?
But what happened right after that member quit from Cabinet? Well, the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister obviously took to Google and typed in, ways to distract Canadians. They came up with this new temporary tax trick. He may have been, Googling it at the Taylor Swift concert as he kept changing different ways of doing that. But Canadians don't just see this as bad vibes, as might be noted. Canadians see this as a real challenge for going forward and for their livelihoods. And Madam Speaker, I talk regularly, as I know many colleagues on this side of the House do, with local constituents and local small business owners. The small business owners who may have 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 employees and who put in the long hours themselves, late into the night, they're up early in the morning before the sun rises in order to build a business for themselves, for their families, and for their communities. And when I'm speaking with local businesses over the last few days, they have real concerns about the impact this temporary tax trick will have on their businesses, on their point of sale and their computer systems, where they will have to shoulder the cost of updating those systems for December 14th, and then again updating again on February 15th, which incidentally is Flag Day in Canada. And they are going to have to bear those costs. They're also concerned about the potential for audits down the way for incorrectly, out of no fault of their own, incorrectly applying these new rules. And what's more, Madam Speaker, because this falls over the new year, this is 2 fiscal years for most businesses, so they have the double challenge of being audited twice for the challenges of this program. I've received a number of emails. I want to quote one email that I did receive, and this small business owner wrote this. The federal government does nothing but expects us to eat the cost of trying to make the federal government look good, of which we then must do more work to turn all of this off in February. Sorry if I'm not very supportive of this very badly thought out policy. That's a small business owner
That sounds
who's expressing
like an
the
email
concerns
that
so
he
many
did
of us have
receive.
heard
Like, you know
about
how
how this program
sometimes you, like,
was brought
that
about.
did not happen.
And let's talk again about the temporary
No,
nature
that
of this
I believe
program.
happened.
So it goes until February 15th. And what happens about 6 weeks after that? Well, first, the escalator tax on wine, beer, and spirits goes up automatically. And even worse, on its way to quadrupling the carbon tax on April 1st, we will once again see the carbon tax raise on the way to costing 61 cents per liter. Madam Speaker, this is simply unacceptable. Madam Speaker, this is a poorly thought out policy. We should not have been at this point in the Parliament where the Liberals are so desperate to implement a temporary tax trick to try to distract Canadians from the poor record that they have as a government. They have made this House unworkable. Madam Speaker, this is not the policy that we should be going forward. We should be having a carbon tax election so that Canadians make the decision that they want to see with a strong, common sense Conservative government after the next election. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker, really and truly, Conservatives just don't have any shame. Think about what it is that they're actually saying that they're collectively voting against. They campaigned saying that they believe in a GST holiday. They literally campaigned on that. Their former leader not only tweeted it, but their current leader retweeted it. It was a wonderful, beautiful idea when they campaigned on it, and they made a promise to do what it is that we're actually doing. We're actually fulfilling one of their commitments that they made a couple of years ago, Madam Speaker. It doesn't make sense. Now they're voting against it. I don't know how it is members of the Conservative Party can actually justify breaking a promise that they made to Canadians that we're actually putting into place, let alone the fact, Madam Speaker, that they're telling their constituents, sorry, we got to listen to our leader because our leader has told us we have to vote against it. And that's the real reason why, Madam Speaker. My question to the member is, does he really believe that Aaron O'Toole and his campaign platform was absolutely worthless? Is that what we can anticipate at the next election?
The Honourable Member for Perth Wellington.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm very proud to stand up on behalf of the people I serve, the great people of Perth Wellington. And what the people of Perth Wellington and people across the country are demanding is a carbon tax election. They want the ability to have a say on where the carbon tax goes. On this side, we will oppose the carbon tax. And that's the comparison.
Exactly.
On the Liberal side, they're offering a temporary two-month tax trick holiday on certain items, but on this side, we are offering the permanent cancellation of the carbon tax for all Canadians across the board. And we're also saying that we should take the GST off of new home construction under $1 million so that we can see the spurring of up to 30,000 new homes being built each and every year. The people I talk to who are having trouble and challenges finding a place to live that's in their price range will be benefited from that, and it will spur growth in our communities.
Of course it will.
The economy and make sure the cost of living goes down for Canadians.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Member for Beauport-Limoilou.
Oh, not you. Where's the good translator?
If we remove GST on dinner for 4 at a restaurant, and let's just say 4 people can dine for $100 plus taxes, so that's about 5% GST and 10% HST in Quebec. So you have the 15% tax, and then you have to tip on that dinner. You would save $5. That's how much the GST would amount to.
The whole $5.
Would that really help the average Canadian family all that much? The average Canadian family who might want to go to the restaurant? Would it really help them that much? Or
No, it
is
would
this
not.
just a
whole
smoke and
95,
mirrors
it's
type
$95
initiative?
instead of $100.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I thank the member for Beauport-Limoilou for her question. In my riding, and in many of my colleagues' ridings, we know people, families who have to go to food banks. There are more and more Canadians who need to visit food banks.
Yep.
They're not going out to restaurants. They
No.
cannot eat at restaurants because they have to go to food banks. This bill will not at all
This
help
is
those
literally a
families
let them eat
who have
cake
to go
bill.
to food banks.
This is what this is.
They do not.
No!
Not have money to spend to help their families.
Hold on.
And why? Because this Prime Minister and this Liberal government made our economy worse and everything is more expensive for Canadians. This bill will not help the vast majority of Canadians.
For London Fanshawe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. During the last Harper government, which was a majority government, of course, Stephen Harper allocated over 100 government bills. So I would imagine that it's hard for Canadians to believe that this current Conservative Party is so upset about the fact that there is a time allocation here, considering that record. So I would like to ask the member, considering that record, would the member agree that time allocation on over 100 bills is deeply undemocratic?
The honourable member for Perth Wellington. 5 seconds.
Madam Speaker, what's deeply undemocratic is a Liberal government who campaign on not using it and then hypocritically using it so often, allowing only hours of debate. In this case, an hour and 15-minute debate on a major tax policy measure that will not have any debate in this House. No debate in committee. No room for amendments. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
That is a good point.
To the honourable member for Fundy Royal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and it's an honor to join tonight in this debate. You know, Madam Speaker, a desperate government makes a transparent
I would really like for
attempt
this
to
vote
distract
to happen
Canadians.
now, please.
Canadians who have been suffering. You know, I listened to my constituents in my riding of Fundy Royal, where individuals are struggling, families are struggling to make ends meet, struggling to put food on the table, struggling to pay their mortgage, pay their heating bill. And why is that, Madam Speaker? Well, it has something to do with a government that has doubled the cost of a mortgage, doubled the cost of rent, increased the cost of groceries, is piling on every April 1st new cost on driving your kids to a hockey game or getting yourself to work by increasing the carbon tax. So after piling on all these costs on Canadians, after making it so difficult for hardworking Canadians, and I include in this small business, which I'm going to speak about shortly,
done for 2 months, and
after
then
all that,
they're going to
they
hike
offer
up
up what
what's
amounts
called
to
the
be
carbon
a
tax
tax trick.
to 61
And Madam
cents
Speaker,
a liter.
if it wasn't so serious, if people weren't hurting so much, it would be laughable. Who would think of an
Just
idea
like
that says we're going to lift the
anybody
GST
that sends in
off
tip
of a Christmas
to
tree,
Streamlabs,
but
$1
only
for
if you
US
buy the
is
Christmas tree
$1.40
December
Canadian.
15th. If you buy it
So if you
before
guys-
then,
if somebody
you don't
sends
get
in
that break.
$10, it's
That's
close
just
to
a small
$15
sampling
for me.
of the kind of complication that this is going to add and the misery that this is going to pile on small businesses at what is sometimes their most challenging time of year. So, Madam Speaker, today I had the opportunity to speak to a small business in my riding of Fundy Royal. They're in a small community, and small business in my riding, they're the backbone of our community. They give back so much. They're the ones that are coaching. They're the ones that are providing support to charities in the region. They're the ones that are helping out with those that need a hand. They're the ones that are providing employment in small communities. And this
It's
individual, with desperation in her voice, was telling me, after everything we went through with the pandemic, after barely hanging on, she said, I cannot implement this change that the government's brought in. I do not have the resources.
I can't
at
with the money.
time of the year for me.
That's
To be able
terrifying.
to change all my systems over to accommodate what
That's
the
really
government has
sad.
just dumped onto their laps. And Madam Speaker, any one of us would struggle to try to decipher what this government is doing. Now, CRA, ever so helpful, has come out with some guidelines.
Of course.
And we have to take a look at these guidelines, Madam Speaker. Exempt
More like-
now for 2 months from the GST. Toys that imitate another item, whether real or imaginary, or involve building, creating, or assembling structures, objects, or models
So
by using
Lego?
pieces, parts, materials, or
Mega
modeling
blocks?
compound. Okay, that makes some sense. However, not exempt, Madam Speaker, toys and model sets that are marketed for adults. For example, adult Lego or train sets. Well, you can imagine, Madam Speaker, how is the small business owner in my riding supposed to decipher those things? CRA directive on what qualifies as a toy again. Card games, including playing cards and Pokemon cards. So
why are all
Madam
why
Speaker,
are
a Pokemon card
Pokemon
is,
cards
is
are for
eligible
kids?
for this 2-month reprieve. However, if you buy your kids hockey cards,
That's
that
not
is not
exempt.
eligible for the exemption. Video
Why?
games will be tax-free. Physical video games, Madam Speaker. Now, that's the way, you know, when I was growing
Wait,
up,
so
we
physical
finally
video
got the
games are
opportunity to get
tax-free,
an
but if you buy
Atari,
the digital version,
because
it's
someone
not
else had bought a
tax-free.
Nintendo, we got the Atari. That was a physical
So
game.
if somebody
And then when
donates for me
someone
to
else
get
got a
Festival of
Super
Hatred, I
Nintendo
still
and I
have to
got a
pay taxes
Nintendo,
on it.
again, a physical game. But now, young people, they're downloading video games. They're not buying a physical game. So according to the CRA, thanks to what this government has done, physical video games qualify, but online only and downloadable video games are not included, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, I can assure you that the people on that side of the House, the Liberal government, they don't understand the confusion that they've just wrought, but Canadians certainly aren't going to understand it. But you know, who's
this
responsible for
this
all
is
this,
our
Madam
tax.
Speaker,
This is the quote tax
the
holiday
small
that our
business owner.
government wants
It's
to
this
give us.
individual I
Shrapnel.
spoke to today told me about how horrified she is that in trying to interpret this mess, that she will be on the hook, that CRA and this government will be coming after her if she gets it wrong, if she charges GST where she wasn't supposed to, or if she exempts it when she wasn't supposed to. Let's talk about children's clothing and footwear. So sports clothing, dancewear, such as jerseys and ski jackets and leotards, and dual-purpose swimwear that can reasonably be worn outside of sports or dance activities is exempt. However, specialized clothing and footwear designed exclusively for sports or those same recreational activities
Isn't it
are
crazy?
not exempt,
Isn't
Madam
this
Speaker.
stupid?
Adult clothing and
And
footwear.
I'm waiting for
if
them.
it's
I'm
purchased for
watching this debate because I'm waiting for the vote to come in.
happens to be adult size,
I'm waiting for them to vote on this.
That goes on when we're talking about physical books. They say on the other side, physical books are tax-free. Okay, that's simple
But
enough
not
to me. But now
Kindle
look
books.
at how the CRA helpfully explains that. Guidebooks and atlases that do not mostly contain street or road maps. So if they do contain mostly
That's
street or road
stupid.
maps, they are not exempt. Magazines and periodicals that have no more than 5% of their printed space devoted to advertising. So for the entrepreneur in my riding who owns her business, who has to do all the accounting, if she sells a magazine that has 6%
She has to have
advertising,
tax on it.
then it's not exempt. But if it's 5% advertising,
Then it's
it is
not.
exempt.
What
How
the
is
fuck?
she, at the busiest time of year,
How is she
supposed to be able
do
to
that?
decipher this mess? Now,
This is
you know,
crazy.
the liberals tell us that books are free. However, coloring books, scrapbooks, sticker books, sketchbooks, books designed primarily for writing on, such as address books, diaries, journals,
Those aren't-
notebooks,
those will not be exempt?
certain dictionaries, and collections of street or road maps, e-books and audiobooks. They are not going to be GST free. So, Madam Speaker, you can see just with that short example that that's just scratching the surface.
Things.
How I guarantee no one in here understands what I just said, and the individuals in my riding that are trying to run a small business should not be expected to have to deal with
this.
this.
The Christmas present fund, guys.
At a time when people are suffering, what we're offering on this side of the House is actual help. We're offering to axe the tax, axe the carbon tax that has increased the cost of everything on my constituents.
Yeah.
On my constituents who are seniors, on my constituents who have young families, on my constituents who are entrepreneurs, farmers. We've increased the cost of heating your home. We've increased the cost of driving to work. We've increased the cost of taking your kids to hockey. This government has increased the cost of food because we're taxing farmers, we're taxing truckers, we're taxing everyone along the supply chain that provides food onto a family's table has been taxed. And therefore, in Canada, our cost of increase of food has outpaced the U.S. by 36%. Well, what's the difference between us and the U.S. right now? We have a carbon tax and they don't. And our families, Canadian families, suffer for the misguided policies of this government. So, Madam Speaker, according to the Canadian Federation of Independent Business, only 4% of small business owners believe they will have stronger sales as a result of these temporary measures. However, they go on to say that small firms, perhaps like the constituent I was talking to today, will face approximately $1,000 in additional costs to reprogram their point-of-sale system to remove and then reinstate applicable taxes. And I think in some cases that $1,000 may be underestimated. A constituent of mine wrote to me today, a business owner, the GST holiday is crazy. To take the GST off of takeout, restaurant, alcohol, and considering the fresh, healthy groceries don't have the tax, is only taking taxes off less healthy, junk food options. Madam Speaker, my constituents get it. Small business gets it. We get it on this side of the House. We are going to provide real tax relief for Canadians by axing the tax, and we're going to stand up against the gimmicks from the Liberal government.
Questions and comments. The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Government House Leader.
Yes, Madam Speaker. Aaron O'Toole got it also. So did the 337 other Conservative candidates that ran in the last...
He didn't propose a GST holiday, though.
That just spoke was one of them. Their election platform...
What are you even talking about?
They would do the same thing. Their leader then actually tweeted how he was going to provide this GST break for the holiday season. And then you get the leader of the Conservative Party who retweeted the idea. Now the members seem to express concerns or excuses as to how they have managed to get themselves into that pretzel twist and turn and flip-flop so they can try to justify their vote. The bottom line, Madam Speaker, is they say they want to give a tax break to Canadians, and when it comes right down to a vote, what do? The same thing they did when it came to giving a break and cutting the taxes for the middle class. They voted against it.
Yeah, because
Does the member
you
not
guys
see
had
the hypocrisy that's there?
Hidden in the bill.
Member for Fundy Royal.
Speaker, this is the House of Commons. Us as members of Parliament, we represent our constituents. So I'm going to allow one of my constituents to answer that question. They wrote, ridiculous, no break on groceries, fuels, or utilities. I was just reading the PM's plan to take a tax break, and I am not impressed. First off, we all know the government will want to recover this lost revenue later, and that will hit our wallets again.
Yep.
The GST holiday is crazy. So, Madam Speaker, I couldn't agree more. My constituents understand, as I just illustrated, that this is a trick that is incredibly complex for our small businesses, and that only Conservatives, we've been talking about this for a long time, Madam Speaker, only Conservatives are committed to real tax relief for hard-working Canadian families.
Questions and comments? The Honourable Member
for Manicouagan.
So this is parliamentary procedure, you guys.
All of the goods that were part of the bill. The government keeps saying that these are essential goods, and we keep hearing the word essential. I would like to hear his opinion on the list that he read, like I did, and what he thinks of what these essential needs are by removing a tax on champagne. Thank you.
For Fundy Royal.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank my colleague for a question. Well, that's what's so perplexing about this is the essentials that Canadians are really struggling to pay right now. What I hear from my constituents is fuel for their vehicle to get them and their kids, get themselves to work, get their kids to school, food to put on their table, heating their home, paying their mortgage, paying rent. Those are the essentials that Canadians are suffering as they try to pay.
Yep.
Those are the exact expenses that we on this side of the House are addressing with our commitment to axe the carbon tax that has increased the cost of all those things. What I listed off from what this government's doing is a confusing list where they purport to cut maybe the cost of a leotard, but then not the cost of skates or ski boots. They purport to, cut the cost of a magazine, but only if it has 5% less of advertising. They've created a monster. They know it. It was rushed out, and Canadians deserve so much better.
Questions and comments, the Honourable Member for Edmonton Grisba.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, and I'll thank my honourable colleague for his speech. He mentioned in his speech that it'd be fantastic if we had no GST off of utilities. Well, he had the chance. This member right now, including every Conservative, had the chance to remove GST off of all home heating. New Democrats, we fought for that in the last term. The two major parties, the Liberals and the Conservatives, they joined up and they voted against GST removal off of utilities. How shameful that is.
How
that he says
it
now
is.
today. How disingenuous this member says now today. What if we had an opportunity to get GST off of home heating? Shame on him that he would vote against that measure and then come to this place and try to say the opposite. Does he have anything to state or to explain himself why he voted against that?
For Fundy Royal in 15 seconds.
Madam Speaker, where to begin? And this is a government that has increased the cost on Canadians exceptionally, beyond anything we've ever seen before. Doubling the cost of a mortgage, doubling the cost of rent, increasing the cost of home heat. And it's all due to their carbon tax, their inflationary measures. And how was it made possible, Madam Speaker? How is it possible this Liberal government has been able to do that with the support of that member and the NDP when they voted 24 times to increase the carbon tax? Madam Speaker, we'll take no lessons on supporting Canadians from that bunch.
Resuming debate, the Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's nice to be here late into the evening talking about an important measure to support affordability for Canadians.
Oh, stop.
Before I start, I'd like to say that I'll be sharing my time with the member for Beauport-Limoilou. And Madam Chair, before I begin, really, I'd like to just say that I think this is a good measure to support affordability at the right time. Measures like this are all about timing. And, if we go back a couple of years, just 3 years in fact, to when Aaron O'Toole was the Prime Minister, he suggested that we do a GST holiday back in 2021. And that was at a time when our inflation was over 4%.
Aaron O'Toole was never the
And
Prime
indeed,
Minister. He was
over
the
opposition
opposition leader.
the
Crazy
ensuing
person.
months, it went up to 8%, Madam Chair. So that probably would have had a negative impact on rising inflation rates at the time. And
I think we have a point of order. The honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm just wondering if the member can correct the record because he just referred to somebody as the Prime Minister that hadn't been a Prime Minister. So I'm just wondering if he can correct.
The honour, I didn't miss that. I apologize. The honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
All good, Mr. Speaker. I apologize to the member. It's been a long day in the House of Commons, and yes, I know that Aaron O'Toole was never the Prime Minister. But he was the leader of the Conservative Party, and when Aaron O'Toole was the leader of the Conservative Party back in the fall of 2021, when inflation was over 4%, he recommended that we do a GST holiday in Canada and provide some tax relief to Canadians. That was bad timing. It was terrible timing, in fact, because inflation was going like this. It was 4.1%, and in the summer of that year, 2022 rather, it went up to 8%. So when inflation's on the rise, it's not a good time to do these types of measures. But right now, inflation's on its way down. It's good news for Canadians. We actually need to find ways to stimulate our economy and provide relief and affordability measures. So that's why, over the last couple of years, our economic measures and the hard work of Canadians, our policies have all reversed and reduced inflation in Canada faster than other countries have achieved that. I had a meeting recently with somebody from Australia, and they were talking about how they haven't seen an interest rate cut.
Somebody from Australia,
inflation is still quite high. Inflation is persistent in some places around the world, but our economy is recovering from the COVID economic downturn here in Canada, and I want to credit Canadians with that. I want to acknowledge that a lot of our economic policies have created the terrain for that change, but it's really good. So this inflation situation has abated a little bit, and that means that it's a good time. This is a timely measure to support our economic recovery with a responsible affordability measure for everyone. Our economy is actually recovering better than anticipated. Canada's in really good shape.
How? Where?
The Conservatives want to suggest that everything's broken in Canada, but I won't tolerate that. Canada's the best country in the world to live in. It's a great country. We're strong. We're economically durable through these challenges. We endured the economic downturn of 2009 quite effectively, and we did in this one too. And that's because of the hard work of Canadians. That's because we have a good regulated banking system. It's because that we're used to challenges in Canada. When the snow falls, we get outside with our shovels and we shovel our neighbors' driveways. We don't sit around and complain and say everything's broken, because it's not. And all that work, the perseverance of Canadians.
No, but if the snowplows don't come around and help us clear off the snow,
we can afford to do nice things for Canadians right now because of the expediency with which our economic recovery has taken place. And we've been through a lot over the last couple of years. And, I know the Conservatives want to heckle me and they want to suggest that Canada's not in great shape, but I won't tolerate that. Canada's the best country in the world, and Canada is in great shape because of the hard work of Canadians. Not because of complainers. Not because of people sitting in the back rows complaining, providing no solutions to anybody's problems, but just barking and yelling and screaming about how everything's broken, because it's not. Canada's not broken, and we have the solutions. And Mr. Speaker, that member should get on the list to speak tonight. He's probably already done 3 speeches about the previous thing on the agenda. But if he wants to speak, he can ask me a question, and I hope he'd learn to wait his time. If he wants to speak, he's got to get a tie, though. So. He's going to sit in the back row and complain.
Oh, wow.
Things that we can do to help Canadians.
That is just pathetic. If he wants to speak, he's got to get a tie. Ha, ha, ha.
Measure to lower taxes for Canadians, and they're all going to vote against it. The irony and the hypocrisy is not lost on me, Mr. Speaker. But it's also really ironic that the Conservatives like to frame themselves or consider themselves like the economic stewards. They're stewards of the economic purse. That's horse crap. That's absolute horse crap, Mr.
You can't
Speaker.
say
it's
that.
It's not true.
You can't say
and
that.
It's clear because at a time when inflation was going up, they wanted to do a GST cut, and now that inflation's abated and it's on its way down, they don't.
You can't say
That's
horse
just basic
crap in the House
economics
of Commons.
one-on-one. They're demonstrating time and time again that they don't know how to manage an economy. It was clear when Harper was Prime Minister. It was clear when Andrew Scheer, when the member from Regina Capel, the failed Conservative leader from Regina Capel, I retract his name, was the leader. But they always put forward economic policies that won't help Canadians, but this will. A 2-month break on GST and HST between the Christmas holidays and Valentine's Day is going to help Canadians. And we're going to give them a little bit of a break because they deserve it, because they worked really, really hard. Because a lot of Canadians, right now they don't feel like their hard work's paying off. And that's a really, really challenging thing. To go into work every day, it's similar to going to the gym and just not seeing that work paying off. Well, we want to see the hard work that Canadians are putting forward pay off. We want to make sure that they have a great holiday. And if that means they want to go out to dinner with their family and their friends, well, 13% off that bill is going to help. Restaurants Canada's come out and said that's great. That's going to see more people in restaurants. That's going to see a little bit of a bump. And that's something that our economy could use right now. So as the holiday season approaches, a time when people spend a little bit more on quality time, they got some time off of school or work, whether it's sharing meals with loved ones or buying gifts for the kids or just ordering some takeout and chilling out. Mr. Speaker, they deserve a break, and our government's there for that.
They deserve a break,
C'est
yes.
temps de qualité. Les Canadiens...
Canadians deserve it after the difficult years that we've faced. What we want to do with this bill is that as many people as possible be able to benefit from it. Canadians need a helping hand, and we want to offer it to them. This is a tax break for Canadians.
Where did you
What we
come
are
from? You're a
proposing,
terrible
Mr. Speaker,
translator.
is a GST tax break throughout the country for certain products. We would be starting on December 14th, 2024, and it would last 2 months. And so, no taxes on games, diapers, clothing for children, snacks, on meals at restaurants, wine, beer, Christmas trees, Mr. Speaker. This tax
Because that's what we care about.
make the holiday times easier for families who are finding it difficult because of the added costs. This GST-HST tax break will help Canadians better benefit from the holiday season. And this is what is included in this bill. The second helping hand that we are proposing is $250 for millions of Canadians. We will be able to talk about this rebate soon, but currently we're looking at the tax break. We know that the holidays are expensive for Canadians, and the new year can be difficult once we pay for the holiday spending.
Afford to offer this help to Canadians.
It
Canada's
can be
debt to
difficult
GDP
once we
ratio
pay
is
for the
well
holiday
below
spending.
our GDP.
You guys make so much money, you have no idea.
Canada's got a balance sheet that they would like to change. We all want to make sure that we're paying down our debt and making sure that our debt to GDP ratio is going down and that our deficit is reduced, Mr. Speaker. But they didn't do that when they were in power. Mr. Harper saw an inflationary deficits and added to our debt without experiencing a global pandemic, Mr. Chair. But we are good stewards of the Canadian economy, and our recovery is evidence of that. We're one of only 2 G7 nations with a AAA rating
good
by at least 2
stewards
of the
of the
3 major
economy, huh?
global ratings agencies. That's good news for Canadians. And this has been achieved through a responsible economic plan that's put Canada in a really strong fiscal position. But it's also time to put that to work for Canadians. Removing the GST from these qualifying goods for 2 months will provide an estimated $1.6 billion in federal tax.
Let me do this for a second.
That means $1.6 billion are going to stay in the pockets of the people who earned that money. Canadians, hard-working Canadian families. When they earn that money, that's their money, and instead of spending that tax or that money on taxes in the form of goods, whether they are things that we should actually debate in this House whether they should ever be taxed, like prepared food in grocery stores or diapers, whether they be diapers for babies or diapers for adults. I think that's a debatable topic. We should talk about whether or not those are essential items, and perhaps this bill will provide us the opportunity to talk about some of those things. Budget 2024 removed the GST on psychotherapy and mental health counseling. That was a good move. We should have done that,
yes.
and we did it. And Mr. Speaker, this bill, which is
And that did nothing for the price of the counseling services.
Questions and comments. Question commentaire, the honourable member for Kelowna Lake Country.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And the member who just spoke is definitely feeling the Liberal vibe. He's drinking the Liberal Kool-Aid. He had talked about how great things are. And so my question to the member is, what about the over 2 million people a month that are going to a food bank? What about the record number of people that are living in homeless encampments? What about the record number of chronic homelessness, the increases that we're having across the country? What about the seniors that are having to go back to work because they can't afford food and medicine? What about acknowledging all of the people that are actually having a real serious challenge paying for even basic necessities in Canada?
What about those
Why doesn't the
people?
member acknowledge them?
The honourable member for Milton.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. And we're acknowledging that not just by using them as props and standing in front of people who are facing challenges in Canada and suggesting that, you know, some group of people is not doing anything. We're actually doing something. The Conservatives can't claim to have helped Canadians once in the last 9 years. Other parties have put forward, whether they are private members' bills or ideas or amendments or changes to various pieces of legislation. Other parties have done that work. Even small ones like the Green Party have managed to help Canadians. The Conservatives have literally done nothing to help Canadians at all, Mr. Speaker. And unfortunately, that's a stain on their record, because all of us have an opportunity and an obligation to help Canadians, Mr. Speaker. I don't use people who are struggling, whether that's through homelessness or addiction or the affordability challenges, as a prop. I show up at events like yesterday when Food Banks Canada came to the House of Commons. I met with them yesterday and we discussed affordability challenges. We discussed solutions.
I think we're going to end here, guys. I have no idea how long this is going to take for the vote, and I am getting starving. But I'm going to attempt to do a marathon stream this weekend and see how long we can stream for. Pinkalo and I might switch off back and forth, but I'm gonna be back later tonight to play some Mortal Kombat, but I'm gonna go eat and put the kidlets to bed. So I hope you guys had a fun stream with me, and I'll be back, like I said, in a little bit to play some MK. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in a little bit. Bye!